Douluo, after listening to the advice, I became a god. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 301 Arrogant. The supporters of both sides almost fought. Lanba Academy has defeated one of the 5 element academies. If they can defeat Blazing Academy, their status will surely rise to a higher level. All the audience were looking forward to this moment. Yun Feng took a deep look at Huo Wu and others, and then retreated behind the crowd. Dao Wu and Huang Yuan stood at the front. Jingling and Zhu King stood on both sides. Tang San was in the middle, and Ning Rong ran to the end. The 7 students of Blazing Academy looked about the same age, in their early 20s. The 7 people formed a triangular queue. The one walking in the front was of medium build. His appearance was also very ordinary, with a pair of eyes flashing with fiery brilliance. His shoulders were very broad, and his golden red team uniform set off his not-so-handsome face, but it was imposing. This person was Huo Wushwang, the captain of the Blazing Academy team, a 42 ND level strong attack type combat soul master. His martial soul was somewhat similar to Liu Erlong's. It was a fire dragon, but Liu Erlong's fire dragon was more inclined to yin fire. His fire dragon is a one-horned fire dragon. It is completely explosive. Among the known soul masters in this preliminaries, he is recognized as the strongest in the front. He is also the main attacker of Chihuo Academy. The 7 students of Chihuo Academy are very close. Behind Huo Wushwang, there is another strong attacking soul master, level 38. There are not many characteristics. According to the information, this person's martial soul is a fire leopard. Behind him are 2 people, 2 young men with cold expressions. They look exactly the same. They are actually twins. One is called Huoyun and the other is called Huo. Their martial soul is Huo, which is what the master calls agile attacking fire shield fighting soul master. Their soul power has reached level 39, and they are only a step away from level 40. The last 3 people are 2 men and 1 woman. The 2 male soul masters are extremely tall. They look fierce. If you only look at their appearance, you will definitely think they are strong attacking soul masters. But Liu Erlong also told everyone, these 2 are not strong attacking, it's the auxiliary system. But their auxiliary system has a certain offensive ability. If the opponent is not particularly strong, it's impossible to see what their auxiliary characteristics are. The martial spirits of the 2 people are also surprisingly consistent. They are both Mars. Yes, Mars, a strange martial spirit. In the middle of these 2 people, there is also the only female in the entire Chihuo Academy team, a very beautiful girl. The golden red team uniform complements her, matched with dark red long hair. She is like a ball of fire that can melt any man, attracting attention. This person is Huo Wu. Although she is the only girl in Chihuo Academy, she is the tallest among the 7, and her figure is very iconic. Although she is not as round and upright as Zhu, she also has a unique flavor. A circle of faint flames surrounds her body. Although Yun Feng knows her information, he did not tell Zhu and others. They should experience it more in actual combat. The power of unknown martial spirits is also good, and she is also another soul master above level 40 in Chihuo Academy besides the captain. The level is even higher than Huo Wushwang. Huo Wu, a level 43 control type soul master. She is the soul of the entire team and the vice captain of the team. Her martial soul is herself, a shadow with herself as the main body. Huo Ying. Before the game started, Liu Erlong simply said some basic information, and Yun Feng didn't say a word. Anyway, the qualification for promotion has been confirmed. There is no need to be so eager to win. Being able to grow in the game is the biggest help for Zhu and others. It seems that both sides are ready. The referee walked to the center. Both sides line up and salute. A total of 14 players from both sides stood in 2 rows and saluted each other. Zhu Qing's eyes met Huo Wushwang, and Zhao Wu's eyes inevitably met Huo Wu. The game has not yet started, and the smell of gunpowder has permeated in this mutual gaze. As for Yun Feng, he didn't even look at anyone on the opposite side. and kept closing his eyes to pretend. A demeanor of a master. Huo Wushwang stared at Zhu Zuqing. Their eyes collided fiercely, and he said in a deep voice, "Today is the moment when your winning streak ends." Zhu Zuqing glanced at Huo Wushwang, and his morale was also strong. "The same words are for you. You can release your martial spirits." The referee's voice sounded again, and in an instant, the light of the central main arena reappeared. The strong light of the Soul Ring filled the entire arena. There is no doubt that both sides have the best Soul Ring combination. However, the Blue Tyrant Academy is obviously a little weak, but these are not bad. When the Soul Ring was released, a great power burst out from the back of the Blue Tyrant Academy, sweeping the entire arena. Huo Wushwang, who was standing at the front, was the first to bear the brunt of the impact of the power. This was still under Yun Feng's special control, so it didn't cause much damage. Otherwise, the Ice and Fire Dragon King combined with the pressure of his mental power would probably make the opponents kneel down, and at least lose half of their combat ability. Yun Feng's soul ring slowly rose, and his whole body slowly sat on the blue-silver Emperor Vine throne. Countless blue-silver grasses swirled around him. Although the people of Blazing Academy were well prepared, when they saw Yun Feng's spirit ring, they couldn't help but feel powerless. Who can be such a monster? It's not human. It's like an adult participating in a baby competition. The audience supporting Blue Tyrant Academy in the audience also burst into amazing shouts. Each of them looked crazy, as if they had seen something extremely happy. Even the audience who originally supported Blazing Academy couldn't help but look dazed. What are these? Yun Feng listened to the screams around him, and then looked at his opponent's expression of doubting life, and felt comfortable physically and mentally. It's okay, you just play normally. I'm just watching the show. Defeat the 6 of them, and then I'll go on stage and play with you. Yun Feng's arrogant words made Huo Wu, who has always been strong, so angry that she was fluctuating. Just when she was about to say something, she was glanced at by her brother. Huo Wu naturally knew what he meant. As long as Yun Feng doesn't make a move, after they deal with the 6 here, the 7 of them may still have a chance to win. Huo Wu knew that she was no match for Yun Feng, so she could only swallow her anger. She swore that she would make Yun Feng look bad. How dare he look down on the Blazing Academy? What is the team battle about? It's the whole. The small difference in level can never be the key to changing the outcome of the game, and now that Yun Feng is not participating in the battle, they are naturally one person less. This is an opportunity. Chapter 302 Blue Tyrant vs Blazing Fire. Dao Wu also looked at Huo Wu. Seeing her pretty figure, Yun Feng's idea came to her mind again. Help Yun Feng marry a few more wives and have more children. But it's just a thought for now. But she has been spotted by Dao Wu, and Huo Wu over there inexplicably felt a chill and trembled all over. What is this? Is there a spiritual power soul master on the opposite side? It can affect my thoughts. Huo Wu's eyes became more alert. The martial spirit roused, and the invisible pressure was like 2 huge walls squeezing each other. Yun Feng directly controlled the throne to go up to the sky, sat cross-legged on the throne, and began to eat the snacks prepared by Meow Meow for him. Don't say it. It tastes good. The VIP seats and the audience seats were stunned. For a moment, they forgot that this was a Soul Master competition. As the referee stepped back, the players of both sides immediately restored their familiar formations. The Blazing Academy was still in the triangular battle formation when they came on the court, and the Blue Tyrant Academy was still the same as before. From the formation of Blazing Academy is undoubtedly more aggressive, while the formation of Blue Tyrant Academy is relatively conservative. The game begins. With the referee's order, the players of both teams started to move at the same time. Dao Wu suddenly stepped forward and jumped high. Huang Yuan and Jingling followed him. The 3 of them pressed towards each other with the momentum of thunder and lightning. Boom! At this moment, the flames instantly rose in the enemy formation. The fiery red light filled half of the arena with a hot atmosphere. The 7 players of Blazing Academy almost rose into the air at the same time, and the first spirit ring of each person released a dazzling brilliance. Sparks flew from their 2 auxiliary spirit masters. Countless red tiny light spots in the air quickly gathered towards those sparks. As the red light spots gathered, The sparks quickly grew larger and hovered above the heads of the 7 people. Huo Wushwang and another strong attack spirit master bravely met them. A loud dragon roar burst out from his mouth. The flames rising from his body vaguely showed the shape of a dragon behind him. The martial spirit possessed him, making his body swell up a circle, and a layer of hot dark red scales attached to the surface of his skin. 2 agile attack spirit masters Huoyan and Huo circled out at the same time. They each released a pair of dazzling wings behind them. Although they did not fly high, they also glided around in a strange arc-shaped way. The target was Juguyan in the center of the Shrek team. They knew that in this battle, Juguyan was a greater threat than Ning Rongrong. So in the exchange of eyes just now, the target had been determined. After condensing in the air, dazzling sparks were quickly injected into other people's bodies. Every spark injected would make the students of Blazing Academy's body more blazing. There is no doubt that this is a team with extremely tacit cooperation. As soon as the game started, they had already established their own advantages. There were only 2 people who did not move at all on the battlefield: Yun Feng and Zhu Zuqing. Yun Feng was just watching the fun. This was a VVVVIP viewing site. Zhu Zuqing was observing the situation. Yun Feng had taught her, if she didn't attack, it was fine, but if she did, she had to inflict heavy damage on her opponent. She was an assassin hiding in the shadows. Ning Rongrong saw that the opponent was controlling the field, and she also hurriedly used her soul skills to add status to her teammates. Dao Wu and Jingling flashed to the side at the same time. They met the opponent's 2 agile attack spirit masters, and the front battlefield also collided with each other. Zhu Zuqing didn't wait too much. She moved her soul power and went forward directly. In addition to the characteristics of her martial spirit, she quietly approached the captain of the opposite team, Huo Wushwang. At his waist, where the scales were less covered, she directly stabbed with the netherworld. La, the sharp claws cut through the clothes, and the black ghost light fiercely pierced into Huo Wushwang's waist. Huo Wushwang, who felt a sharp pain, was immediately furious. Zhu Zuqing also understood her position, and after succeeding, she didn't want to fight at all. Nether Shadow Clone. It was used to confuse Huo Wushwang's perspective. Quickly retreat. Huo Wushwang's second soul burst out with a loud bang and smashed hard at the Shadow Clone. The Shadow Clone exploded, and Huo Wushwang was obviously very dissatisfied with being knocked back. He shouted and did not use soul skills. He rushed towards Zhu Zuqing again, but Zhu Zuqing's speed was not comparable to that of a strong attack soul master like him. With a small flash, he directly avoided Huo Wushwang's impact. Elegant, elegant. It was really elegant. The audience on the stage cheered. Taking advantage of Huo Wushwang's inertia, Zhu Zuqing decisively used the third soul skill, Nether Slash. A black energy-emitting coldness flew straight to Huo Wushwang's back. The sound of cloth breaking sounded again. Blood splattered, and the fiery red dragon scales were directly cut open. Today is different from the past. Zhu Zuqing is no longer the little girl who was chased by others and had no power to fight back. Huo Wushwang calmed down after the attack. He was not in a rage. He was the captain, and he could not act on impulse. After looking at Zhu Zuqing, Huo Wushwang ignored Zhu Zuqing and went straight to his teammate who was besieged by Jingling and Huang Yuan. Both of them were strong attack system. Jingling was a skeleton martial spirit, and Huang Yuan was a lone wolf. The strong attack system spirit master from the opposite Blazing Academy was miserable. After all, they were of similar spirit power levels. He used his head to fight 2 spirit masters who were strengthened by the 9 treasures glazed tower, and Huo Wushwang's intention was also seen through by Zhu Zuqing. They directly tangled up, just not letting Huo Wushwang go to support. But facing this situation, the strength of the opposite Blazing Academy was immediately revealed. The sparks that were constantly condensing in the air were originally evenly distributed on the other 5 combat members. But when Huang Yuan and Jingling attacked the Fire Leopard Spirit Master at the same time, the sparks in the air suddenly accelerated. In an instant, they merged into the body of the Fire Leopard Spirit Master with a cumulative shooting momentum. Suddenly, a circle of golden red light suddenly released from the Fire Leopard Soul Master's body, and the huge energy suddenly expanded, and even knocked back the attacks of Jingling and Huang Yuan. Although he failed to hurt the two, the Fire Leopard Soul Master's crisis was also resolved. He immediately rushed straight to Huang Yuan, who seemed to be weaker. Without any hesitation, both his attack power and speed were suddenly improved under the injection of the large group of Mars. Yun Feng looked at the Mars Soul Master from above. A Soul Master who combines support and control in one. It's interesting, Yun Feng murmured. The three people who seem to be two support and one control could actually be regarded as three control-type Soul Masters. The two tall guys were not just ordinary support-type Soul Masters, but very peculiar support control systems. On the battlefield, they controlled with their own support abilities and selectively helped their own team members. In a sense, this method is somewhat similar to Rong, although their martial spirits are not as strong as the Seven Treasures Glazed Tower. Two people assisted one person at the same time. It will undoubtedly greatly improve this person's strength in a short period of time, which is also the important reason why they only have two strong attacking spirit masters. Dao Wu watched all this and went to the opposite auxiliary spirit master again. Her speed was not as fast as Zhu King. Fighting with Huo Wunshuang was obviously not a good choice. Chapter 303, Yun Feng is a member of their spirit hall, so after a brief discussion before going on stage, it was decided that Zhao Wu would cut the back row this time. Zhu Zuqing chose to hold back the captain of the opposite team, but when Zhao Wu leaned over and attacked, she saw that the opposite team was like a fortress, not exposing the auxiliary soul master at all. Zhao Wu, who was scored by the opposite team, smiled cunningly in the air, and Huo Wu, who had been observing, also found something wrong. The place where Zhao Wu flew backwards was the Fire Leopard Soul Master, who was surrounded by Huang Yuan and Jingling. The Fire Leopard, who was originally strengthened by the Auxiliary Soul Master, was still suppressing the two of them. Just when he wanted to use his third soul skill, the deputy captain's shout suddenly came from the back. Because the battle situation was too tense, the Fire Leopard didn't hear it clearly at first. When he heard it, "Run fast!" Zhao Wu had already come in front of him. Looking at Zhao Wu's seductive figure, when she appeared in front of him, he unconsciously took a second look. The alarm bells in his heart rang. They have studied the Blue Tyrant team. How could they forget about this? Charm activated. The Fire Leopard Soul Master was like a lost soul, and was immediately confused. Zhao Wu said to Huang Yuan and Jingling, "Help me block for a while, I will deal with him soon." Before the two nodded, Zhao Wu skillfully performed the 8-section throw. In fact, the 8-section throw is not unbreakable, as long as there is another teammate to help him out. Although they knew about this, everyone was entangled. No one can help the Fire Leopard Soul Master. All changes are extremely fast. The key to this kind of encirclement and suppression is to be fast, accurate and ruthless. Use the advantage of numbers and instantaneous explosive power to first disintegrate one of the opponent's strong points. Blazing Fire Academy did not expect that the Blue Tyrant Academy would react so quickly. The Snow Knight Emperor above also smiled and said to Ning Fengzi, "Master Ning, the Blue Tyrant Academy where your daughter is really amazing. I want to send my daughter there to study for a while." Ning Fengzi looked calm on the surface, but he was complaining in his heart. They are all 1,000-year-old foxes. What's the point of playing Liao Zai? Although he thought so in his heart, he said modestly on the surface, "It's all luck. It's all luck." The two chatted briefly. Only Sarot on the side sneered in his heart. Two fools. They would count money for others after being sold out. Yun Feng is from their Wuhan Hall. The fight on the fighting arena continued. Just when Zhao Wu was about to throw Huo Bao out, Huo Wu launched her soul skills without any warning. Her movements were also very simple, but it was her third soul ring that lit up. The dazzling purple light merged with the golden red halo that burst out of her body. The dazzling ring of flames burst out instantly and spread to the place where it was most needed. Her control was extremely precise. When the big solid fire ring arrived, it happened to be where Zhao Wu, Huang Yuan and Jingling were. Huang Yuan and Jingling's resistance was immediately bounced away. The strange thing was that although the fire ring that burst out instantly looked extremely grand, it did not make any sound at the moment of contact. Zhao Wu was caught in the head of the Fire Leopard Spirit Master by her ankles, and was also bounced out by a strong elastic force with burning heat, losing control of the fire leopard spirit master. The three of them were bounced in different directions. In an instant, the original formation of the Blue Tyrant Academy was completely broken. This is exactly Huo Wu's third soul skill, resisting the fire ring. This skill has no attack power. The biggest feature is that it can bounce all enemies within the range of the resisting fire ring to a certain range. As for how far to bounce, how to distinguish between enemies and friends depends on the control of the Soul Master himself. It is a special soul beast ability. It seems that this soul skill is used to save life, but when it appears in the hands of an excellent control-type Soul Master, it is no longer that simple. Tang San also appeared in front of everyone, but Tang San was not panicked at all, let alone whether the opponent will win after defeating himself, just rushing straight at him. I don't know what the opponent is thinking. The soul ring on his body is shining, countless blue-silver grass directly surrounds him, and there is no opponent's obstruction. Two agility attack spirit masters, Huo Wushwang and another strong attack spirit master rushed towards Tang San almost at the same time. Tang San, who was standing in the middle, had a subtle look on his face. Huo Wushwang realized that something was wrong. Why didn't Zhuzuking, who had been fighting with him, stop him? Why? But the arrow was on the string and had to be shot. They had to solve one first, so that they could win. From the beginning of the battle, this was a trap set by Blazing Academy for Tang San. Obviously, the opponent had also studied Blue Tyrant Academy seriously, and Tang San didn't dare to hide, because Ningrong Narong was still behind her. Dao Wu and others who flew backwards were all around him, but because of the secrecy of the spirit skills, even if Tang San had used it on the fighting spirit stage, everyone didn't see anything. They could only feel that the flame field they set up seemed to have a slight airflow. 4-1. They had even taken Tang San's abilities into account, attacking from different directions. Tang San could only limit one person at most. At that time, he was already facing the siege of at least 3 people. Absolutely impossible. Each of these girls from Blue Tyrant Academy was very strong, but on this fighting spirit stage, Tang San was undoubtedly the core of Blue Tyrant Academy. As long as he was defeated, then, Blue Tyrant was like a toothless tiger, much easier to deal with, not to mention his strong and disgusting control ability. To be on the safe side, the third soul rings of the 2 auxiliary soul masters from Blazing Fire Academy also lit up at the same time. The sparks that were originally condensing in the air turned from 1 to 2, and from 2 to 4, instantly increased 4 times. At the same time, they rushed towards the 4 people responsible for the attack. The dazzling fireballs in the air were as moving as a meteor shower. The blazing flames had surrounded Tang San in a deadly place. The 4 people attacking Tang San also launched their third soul skills at the same time. For this attack, they were determined to win. Sharp claws emerged between Huo Wushwang's hands, and his body grew again. The scales burst out with golden red light. This third soul skill is similar to Daimabai's White Tiger Vajra transformation, and the whole body is burning with blazing flames. With 2 crane cries, 2 huge flaming crane shadows flew out. Fire Shadow Clone. The Fire Leopard Soul Master had long been angry, and put his hands together, and 7 huge dark blue fireballs flew towards Tang San. The attacks of the 4 people tightly blocked all the places where Tang San could escape, but at the same time, Zhuzuking also found an opportunity. A smile flashed across her face, the figure flashed, and directly appeared next to the auxiliary soul master of Blazing Academy. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 304. Is there such a good thing? A scream rang out. The 4 people who attacked from Blazing Academy naturally knew that they might have been fooled. Until this time, Tang San stopped pretending, or rather, Yun Feng stopped pretending. As their soul skills approached, huge blue-silver emperors composed of soul power were also illuminated by the flames and awakened their bodies. The 4 people were stunned. What are these things? Why did they suddenly appear here? But the attack had already been launched and it was impossible to stop. The Blue-Silver Emperor was condensed by Yun Feng's soul power after all. Facing 4 attacks at the same time, it didn't last long and was also dispersed. However, the last roar resounded throughout the Tandu Great Soul Fighting Arena. However, when the body dissipated, more blue-silver grass emerged directly. Douluo and others had already retreated far away. Seeing this scene, Huo Wushwang and others did not dare to continue to act recklessly, and could only temporarily choose to retreat and return to Huo Wu and the auxiliary soul master. Huo Wu saw Zhuzukin's speed and couldn't help but feel a little scared. Fast, too fast. From Zhuzukin's reaction to the attack, the process took less than a second. After the attack was successful, Huo Wushwang and others rushed back and quickly withdrew. Huo Wu's attack didn't even hit her. Seeing that the auxiliary soul master on his side was seriously injured, and Tang San on the opposite side just consumed a little soul power, Huo Wushwang and others were silent. Could it be that they couldn't beat the opponent with one less person? Once self-doubt arose from the bottom of his heart. It kept echoing in his mind for a long time. The game on the battlefield has reached a white-hot state, and every moment may become the key to determine the outcome. But seeing his teammates seriously injured, Huo Wushwang had no choice. There must be a winner between them. After a simple look at each other, the Mars Auxiliary Soul Master used up all his soul power, and after blessing his teammates, he was sent down. The two sides fought together again, and it was hard to tell. Even Huang Yuan and Jingling, who had always been slacking off, used all their strength. Usually they were taken care of by Zhao Wu and the others, so they didn't have much chance to make a move on the soul fighting arena, and they won the game. Now it's different. With one less person, the offensive of Blazing Academy has become more fierce. Yun Feng touched the soul guide in the sky. He found that the snacks were gone. He stood up, slowly floated down, and shouted to Zhao Wu and others who were fighting in front, "Zhao Wu, come back, I don't have any snacks to eat, and I don't want to delay." Hearing Yun Feng's words, Zhuzukin and Zhao Wu retreated directly from the front, and Ning Rong even hugged Yun Feng's arm. The whole Tandu Soul Fighting Arena was in an uproar. Yun Feng was too pretentious. It wasn't abusive, but excited. Finally, we can see the captain of Blue Tyrant Academy take action. That outrageous Soul Ring configuration plus the level of Soul King. Everything is so exciting. Even Zuya and Cyrus in the VIP seats were excited. It's so rare. The only one who was uncomfortable was the Blazing Academy on the opposite side. They have always been called geniuses by everyone. Now being despised like this, anger spread from the heart, burning all over the body. Huo Wu, who dared to love and hate, heard Yun Feng's words and said loudly, "Why are you so arrogant? If you have the ability, you can kill us in one move." Yun Feng looked at Huo Wu in surprise. His mind was full of questions, and he looked at Zhuzukin and others. Seeing her nod, Yun Feng thought he had heard it wrong. There is such a request. Yun Feng, who was sure that he had not heard it wrong, also smiled playfully and said, "What if I kill all of you in one move?" Huo Wushwang was about to persuade her, but her sister didn't think much and said directly, "If you do it, I will be your girlfriend. Anyway, seeing so many girls around you, you must be a playboy." Yun Feng blinked and spat out, "Is there such a good thing?" In the audience, a man in the Kamikaze Academy heard Huo Wu's words and his lips turned pale. He stared at Huo Wu with lifeless eyes, hoping that she was joking, but his idea was destined to be a delusion. Huo Wu's chest was heaving with anger, and she was obviously stimulated by Yun Feng's arrogant remarks. "My words are as good as gold." Huo Wushwang looked at his sister helplessly, and now he could only try his best to resist the offensive from the opposite side. He didn't want his sister to be entrusted to a playboy, and she was taken away from him. Wouldn't it make him look incompetent? Yun Feng smiled when he saw Huo Wu like this, and said slowly, "Okay, I won't bully you either. One move, and I will admit defeat if you do it next." After saying that, he looked at Zhao Wu and others around him. His eyes flashed wildly, looking at Yun Feng who kept blinking. Zhuzukin and others looked at each other, knowing that men need face, and didn't say much, just glared at him fiercely. Yun Feng felt guilty for a while, but soon straightened his back. This was the initiative of the other side, so he couldn't blame him. Douluo and others had already retreated, and Yun Feng began to get serious. Driven by the blue-silver grass, the whole person floated directly into the air. The field appeared. The entire Dun field became full of vitality. Yun Feng's soul rings flickered one after another. With the continuous superposition of soul skills, the appearance of the blue-silver emperor began to change. It became bigger, thicker, harder, and even had armor. Gurong in the VIP seat looked more and more wrong. What is this kid doing? Is he trying to destroy Tandu City? This is not over yet. Yun Feng's clothes behind him tore. Branches and buds turned into wings. Douluo and the others also realized that something was wrong. Without even saying a word, they felt like they were stepping down. When everyone in the Blazing Academy saw this scene, they swallowed their saliva. Huo Wu looked at Huo Wushwang and said, "Brother, do you think it's too late for me to admit defeat now?" Huo Wushwang also smiled bitterly and pointed upwards. The soul power has been released. At this time, Gurong had already come to the Dun stage, and his martial soul was activated. He said sternly, "You kid, why don't you quickly withdraw these?" Yun Feng blinked his innocent big eyes. "How about you block it? I'm just testing my current limit." Gurong is a defensive spirit master, so he's the perfect target. But when he heard Yun Feng's words, he couldn't help but feel dizzy. This kid was probably here for him from the beginning, just to test his ultimate move. Zuyi was now blocked in front of a dozen guards. With a look of joy on his face, he said in his heart, "Such talents must be absorbed into our Tandu Empire." And Saras on the side was also staring at Yun Feng in the air with burning eyes. Even he felt the danger of death. This kid is too perverted. Ning Fengzi looked at Gurong with a black face, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Chapter 305, Defeated? Then he looked at Yun Feng and sighed. He could already guess why Yun Feng did this. It was nothing more than what he had said to him at the auction. Now he was showing his strength to him. As Ning Fengzi stood up, Zuyi and Saras looked at him. Ning Fengzi said slowly with his soul power, "Go to the sky. There are too many people here, Uncle Gu. I'll help you." Seeing Ning Fengzi say this, Yun Feng also understood that this was to help him build momentum. For a moment, the smile on Yun Feng's face became even brighter. The referee didn't know what to do anymore. This level was beyond his scope, and those people from Blazing Academy had already fallen to the ground one by one under the momentum, unable to move. Fortunately, the teachers of Blazing Academy stepped forward to help them relieve the pressure. Otherwise, who knows what kind of embarrassment would happen. Emperor Zuyi was also a smart person, and he directly pronounced, "In this battle, Blue Tyrant Academy wins." You should have no objection. Huo Wu and others had no objection, thinking of their previous prejudice against Yun Feng. "I wish I could find a hole to crawl into." Seeing that the problem was solved, Yun Feng also winked at Huo Wu. The flames on Huo Wu's body could not cover the blush on her face. Seeing that the effect was achieved, Yun Feng floated directly into the sky, keeping the audience safe while allowing them to see the changes in the scenery and environment caused by the strange phenomenon. The entire Tandu city seemed to be covered with a layer of blue and gold color. Everyone looked at the figure flying out from the sky above the Tandu Great Soul Fighting Arena. Gurong saw this scene and came up with Ning Fengzi's blessing. A huge bone dragon looked at Yun Feng. On one side is the titled Buo, and on the other side is the Soul King. The momentum of the two was actually evenly matched at this moment. Maybe Yun Feng felt that the power was not enough, so he added his mental power. At the level of Soul King, he can be on par with ordinary titled Buo. People are numb. Ning Rong, Douluo and others below were also worried when they saw this scene. Although he didn't understand what Yun Feng wanted to do, he still stood up without hesitation. Ning Rong took the lead in launching the soul skill, and 3 rays of light flew straight towards Yun Feng in the sky. At this time, Yun Feng was like a god in the sky. He shone brightly under the light. "Senior Gu, please test where the limit is for me." While speaking, the countless huge blue-silver emperors behind Yun Feng were stained with a layer of light, which was extremely shocking. Gurong's face became more solemn than ever before. "I'm afraid it's not easy to take this move." As the soul power in Yun Feng's body circulated wildly, the aura of the blue-silver emperor in the sky gradually merged together. A breath of energy directly locked Gurong. Under the gaze of everyone, the soul rings on the body of Bone Dragon Duo began to shine continuously. One soul skill after another was attached to himself. Yun Feng raised one hand high, and then waved his hand under the gaze of everyone, and countless blue and gold giant vines appeared in the sky, up to 100 meters long. With the straight swing, the sky seemed to be split in half, and 100-meter-long air pressure rolled down. Wherever it passed, the clouds were divided into a huge chasm, like a mountain pressing down on the top. The momentum was indestructible. Under the lock of the chi, Gurong couldn't move at all. He could only passively defend. Dangerous, dangerous. Gurong's whole body was madly increasing the horror of this attack, but he couldn't dodge it. Everyone raised their heads and looked at the dreamlike giant vine. Is this still the blue-silver grass they know? At the moment of swinging, Yun Feng felt that his soul power was a little bit in short supply. After a while, he stabilized his shaking body in the sky. After the triumph, the blue-silver emperor turned into white light. White light, countless white light. The sky and the earth are the same color. The people watching didn't dare to look directly at this light. And the attacked party, Gurong, was also completely submerged in the wave of giant vines. After a long time, boom, 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 the sound caused by the slapping directly smashed the ground into pieces, which was horrible to watch. And Gurong's martial soul body was also forced to retreat. He lay motionless on the ground. It took a long time for him to recover. Looking at the deep wound on his chest that could be seen to the bone, a helpless smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Is this kid so strong now? It hurts so much. After he said this, figures began to emerge in the distance. Gurong was hit thousands of meters away from the sky above the great fighting soul arena. As the most powerful defensive titled Buo now, Gurong's superimposed characteristics were beaten like this in front of Yun Feng's soul skills. If it weren't for the defense added by Ning Fengzi, his injuries might be even worse now. When Emperor Zuyi and his group arrived, they looked at Gurong's embarrassed appearance. All kinds of people. Some were confused, some were shocked, some were excited, and some were worried. Everyone's face was full of stories. After a long while, Yun Feng also released the state of martial soul fusion, and staggered to the place where Gurong fell. Ning Rong was still with him. When Ning Rong saw Gurong like this, she immediately cried and said sorry to Gurong. Gurong saw her granddaughter like this, and she also squeezed out a smile to comfort her. But the smile was obviously a little uncomfortable, because the wound was touched. Yun Feng also smiled awkwardly. The Tandu Empire also sent many healing soul masters to help with the treatment. In just a few minutes, Gurong was fine. The wound didn't even leave a scar. Ning Rong also breathed a sigh of relief after seeing it, although he didn't know why they fought. But he still didn't want his grandfather Gu to be injured, although she was also responsible for this injury. Gurong casually comforted Ning Rong, indicated that she was fine, and then looked at Yun Feng. You kid, how come you are so outrageous after not seeing you for so long? Yun Feng just smiled and turned his eyes to Ning Fengzi. Ning Fengzi nodded gently. I'm sorry, Senior Gu, I didn't hurt you. Gurong looked at the little action of Ning Fengzi and Yun Feng, but didn't say anything. Instead, he said with a look of disdain, if I hadn't been careless, I might not have been defeated by you. His words were full of arrogance. Yun Feng understood that this was Gurong's good intention, and he quickly answered yes. Emperor Zuyi found a loophole, squeezed forward and said to Yun Feng, our Tandu Empire is really full of talents. At such a young age, you can fight with the famous strong men in the Soul Master world. Yun Feng saw the target person coming forward, and naturally did not lose his manners. He stepped forward and bowed and said, meet His Majesty the Emperor of Tandu. He looked neither humble nor arrogant, and was dignified. Zuyi looked at Yun Feng's appearance, plus his subjective wishes. He was very satisfied with Yun Feng. Chapter 306 What is a dog liquor? Because there were many people present, Yun Feng and Zuyi only had a brief taste. There was no deep chat, but both sides were very satisfied. The people around them felt a chill in an instant. Did they reach a deal? Because the game was still going on, as the home team. Naturally, they couldn't leave for too long. After confirming with Yun Feng that there was a possibility of cooperation between them, Zuyi left here. Ning Fengzi took a deep look at Yun Feng, and followed Emperor Zuyi back to the Tandu Great Fighting Soul Arena. The people around looked at the deep sword marks on the ground and chose to leave. Perhaps they were afraid of Yun Feng's current power. It was too scary. As Gu Rong left, Liu Erlong also stepped forward to look at Yun Feng, and then looked at Zhao Wu and others, and said with a smile, "Yun Feng, what are you going to do with Huo Wu?" Liu Erlong changed the topic and directly brought things to an uncontrollable situation. Because Zhao Wu and the others didn't know Yun Feng's plan, they thought he made such a big fuss just to pick up girls. Yun Feng didn't know why, but he instantly felt the murderous intent coming from all directions. It was particularly chilling. Before Yun Feng could speak, a red figure ran over from a distance. The moment he saw Yun Feng, he hugged him directly. Yun Feng felt the softness in his arms, and his hands subconsciously tightened a little. But looking at the eyes of Zhao Wu and others, he realized that something was wrong. What was he doing? "I said, I didn't mean it. Do you believe it?" Zhao Wu rubbed her wrist and said viciously, "Do you think we believe it?" What kind of personality is Huo Wu? She had long stated to the outside world that she would only recognize and associate with people of the same age who could completely defeat her. And Yun Feng not only defeated her, but also defeated everyone in the entire Tandu city. So when she saw Zhao Wu like this, she thought she was going to teach Yun Feng a lesson because of her arrival. She immediately stood up and said, "Sister Xiao, my husband and I have made an appointment. I can't take that move, so I am her future wife now." To be honest, Yun Feng enjoyed this atmosphere. But looking at the eyes of the women, Yun Feng was a little scared. Liu Erlong's eyes also flashed a gloomy look. She was obviously here first. But why did Miao Miao come before her? Now there is another Huo Wu. It's uncomfortable, but for the sake of internal harmony or some other thoughts, Liu Erlong still stood up and said, okay, blame Yun Feng, the scumbag. Huo Wu did nothing wrong." As soon as these words came out, Huo Wu's favor was instantly gained. Under the influence of Liu Erlong, they also looked at it more openly. After all, they all knew that Yun Feng had no family now, only them, so they were all brainwashing themselves. And the reason they were angry was not because of Xiao, but because Yun Feng took the initiative. If he continued like this, he might have to live in the palace at that time. After all, ordinary houses can't accommodate so many people. Huo Wu got their initial recognition, and she also used her traditional skills. She was pulled directly to the grove next to them and started whispering. In fact, with Yun Feng's current mental strength, it would be effortless to eavesdrop, but he still chose not to. If everything is known clearly, then the little surprises in life will be gone. But one wave has not settled. Another wave rises. I saw a group of contestants in cyan uniforms walking to the huge pit caused by Yun Feng. The 7 people stared at the destroyed terrain and the clouds in the sky that could not heal for a long time. The man in the lead had panic in his eyes. He was Feng Xiaoshan, the captain of the Kamikaze Academy and the sole master of the control department. Seeing that there was no one around Yun Feng not far away, he just relaxed a little. But then, he couldn't laugh anymore. I saw that the woman she had been thinking about day and night actually threw herself into Yun Feng's arms. Huo Wu has lived in an environment where everyone is the center of attention since she was a child, although she is a girl. But whether at home or in the academy, she is the object of everyone's care. In addition, she is gifted and has been at the top of her peers since she was a child. She is only 19 years old this year, but she has already reached the strength of more than level 40. This is unprecedented in Blazing Academy. Her pride is justified. She has the capital to be proud of her appearance, strength, and family background. But where is your pride now? Just because of a sentence on the field. You haven't known each other for more than an hour. What am I? I have been pursuing you for so many years. Feng Xiaoshan stared blankly in the direction of Huo Wu, and his teammates around him couldn't stand it. They were trembling in their hearts. They usually accompanied Feng Xiaoshan to go crazy. Now they dare not act rashly. The ruthless man on the opposite side can even beat Bone Dragon Luo. What if he is in a bad mood and kills them all? Yun Feng had noticed their arrival a long time ago. The reason why he didn't come to them immediately was to wait for Huo Wu. After possessing Huo Wu and saying something in her ear, He saw Huo Wu's blushing face. Yun Feng also realized something. He came to Feng Ziotian with Ziou in his left hand and Huo in his right hand. He pretended to be indifferent and said, "Hey, Huo, do you know them?" Huo remembered Yun Feng's bad taste and said immediately, "He has been pursuing me, but I didn't agree." Yun Feng screamed in surprise. He smiled and said, "So you are the dog licker my girlfriend is talking about?" Feng Ziotian was a little confused and asked dully, "What is a dog licker?" Then Yun Feng began to explain for a minute. Feng Ziotian's face was extremely ugly. His fists were clenched, red and blue veins were popping out. Seeing this scene, Yun Feng also put away his smile and said coldly, "Now that Huo has decided to follow me, you'd better stop thinking crookedly, otherwise even if your dean comes, he can't protect you." Looking at Feng Ziotian's lost look, Yun Feng shouted, "Did you hear me?" An invisible pressure suddenly went towards Feng Ziotian. Got it. Feng Ziotian was so depressed that if he hadn't still had some courage, he would have knelt down. Yun Feng hugged the two girls, followed by Zhu Zuqing and the others. He left without even looking at them. Feng Ziotian was left sitting on the ground like a dead dog. There was no light in his eyes. Zhu Zuqing asked curiously at this time, "Brother, why did you?" Knowing what Zhu Zuqing meant, Yun Feng smiled and explained, "Anyone who coveted my women paid the price, didn't they?" Hearing this, Dao Wu immediately remembered the time when Tang San was still not in college, and Zhu Zuqing also remembered Dime Bai's current miserable state. Suddenly, she felt that Yun Feng was much kinder this time. It was just a simple warning. Chapter 307. It hurts. It hurts so much. The other girls, especially Huo Wu, looked at the two curiously. Dao Wu and Zhu Zuqing also slowly explained what happened before. After learning about the miserable state of Tang San and Dime Bai, even Liu Erlong couldn't help but smack his lips. He secretly complained in his heart, "How can this kid be so bad?" Huo Wu didn't know why, but suddenly felt a little lucky for Feng Ziotian. Fortunately, he didn't do anything, otherwise, he would die without knowing how. When everyone returned to the academy, Liu Erlong also called Yun Feng out alone. The girls had a premonition that this day would come. Yun Feng thought so too. After going out with Liu Erlong with great expectations, he saw Liu Erlong and said, "Yun Feng, you have done too much this time. You are directly exposed to the eyes of all the major forces. If you choose to join any side, you will be killed. They will not allow such a monster in their hostile forces." Listening to Liu Erlong's chattering, Yun Feng felt warm. Without thinking too much, he went forward and hugged Liu Erlong. He could even feel Liu Erlong's body stiffened, and it took a long time for her to recover. Yun Feng smiled and slowly said in her ear, "Auntie, believe me, I did this for a purpose. Besides, is that what you want to tell me?" Liu Erlong had long forgotten to preach to Yun Feng. Her nose, eyes, and burning heart were all filled with the smell and figure of Yun Feng. Her face was as red as if it had been exposed to the sun for a day in July. "I didn't." Yun Feng had already seen Liu Erlong's shyness and hypocrisy. He immediately said with a sly smile, "Auntie, do you want to be the youngest?" Liu Erlong was immediately dissatisfied when she heard this. She was the oldest here, why should she be the youngest? Of course, she didn't know Dao Wu's identity yet, otherwise, she wouldn't dare to say so. "What youngest? I want to be the boss." Yun Feng also smiled at this time as if his evil plan had succeeded. "And, you said you didn't like me, and you admitted it." Liu Erlong was stunned, and recalled what she had just said. She went straight into Yun Feng's arms and buried her face tightly on Yun Feng's chest. She didn't dare to speak. Yun Feng also said seriously at this moment, "And, don't worry, I will treat you well in the future." After listening to Yun Feng's assurance, Liu Erlong raised her head and looked at Yun Feng seriously. But how could Yun Feng miss such an opportunity? He directly held Liu Erlong's face and kissed her. He didn't give her time to react at all. Liu Erlong struggled at first, but after a while, he began to get involved. Since he looked directly into his heart, there was nothing to hide. This is also one of the reasons why Yun Feng likes this world. Most of the women here dare to love and hate. They can face their own hearts without any drag. Like is like, there is no reason. Yun Feng and Liu Erlong kissed for about 10 minutes, and when they opened their eyes, Liu Erlong found that they were surrounded by a circle of people. Miao Miao looked at Yun Feng with tears in her eyes. and her mouth was raised high. Yunfeng had no choice but to kiss her lightly on the lips. Miao Miao was so happy that she didn't know what to do. Huo Wu saw this scene, but she didn't take the initiative to step forward. But Yunfeng was confident that Huo Wu also needed it. As a man, he naturally couldn't favor one over the other. He immediately kissed her hard on the lips. Huo Wu was scared away directly, but before running away, he left a sentence that, "I'll come again tomorrow." Obviously, she was also shocked by Yunfeng's operation. Zhu Zuking's eyes flashed a faint light. "I hope some people can get up tomorrow morning." Yunfeng didn't guess wrong. Zhu Zuking hinted that it should be at night. Can he deal with their siege? After all, every time they added one before, they attacked together. Yunfeng subconsciously touched his back and felt a chill. One day later, Lanba Academy ushered in its 12th opponent. Yunfeng did not play this time. He leaned weakly on Miao Miao. Liu Erlong beside him fed Yunfeng fruits with a gentle look. The dark circles on his eyes seemed to say that last night was not simple. This opponent from Lanba Academy made Zhao Wu and others excited. Their 12th opponent was not from the 5 elemental academies, but from Kanghui Academy. They had seen it before when Shrek went to Shing Forest. After hearing this news, Zhao Wu and others were naturally interested in Kanghui Academy. Many people in Yunfeng's position also looked at him with fear, but Yunfeng didn't care. He only cared about Ning Fengzi's resentful eyes, because he could sense that Liu Erlong, the dean of Lanba Academy, was also Yunfeng's woman. He didn't know what to say in his heart. The relationship was unclear to begin with. Yesterday, he was related to Tian Emperor Zhu Yi, and now he was accidentally related to the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex family. He was so confused. But in addition to Ning Fengzi and the VIP seat, there was another figure who was also gritting his teeth at the Tandu Royal Academy and looking at Yunfeng. This person was Flanders. He couldn't believe his eyes. I don't know why Liu Erlong would get together with Yunfeng. He didn't understand, and he didn't understand. Did Liu Erlong forget his friendship with her? Feeling Flanders's gaze, Yunfeng also whispered softly in Liu Erlong's ear. After a few seconds, Liu Erlong also shyly greeted Flanders with Yunfeng, but the action was very intimate. Flanders saw this scene, and a trace of blood flowed directly from the corner of his mouth. Pain. It hurts so much. Why? He has liked him for more than 10 years. But this is the result. He can't accept it. But due to the current venue, Flanders can only endure it. Yu Gang looked at his broken hand, and then looked at Liu Erlong's appearance. After thinking for a while, a trace of haze flashed in his eyes. He had already written a letter to the Spirit Hall, attached with his elder order. He hopes to return to the Spirit Hall and serve Bibi Dong. Although the letter said so, anyone can see it. The words are full of love for Bibi Dong. After Bibi Dong received the letter sent by the people below, her heart was not shaken at all, and she even wanted to laugh. The divine thoughts of the Rakshasa god have begun to affect Bibi Dong's character. In addition to Yunfeng's reports to Bibi Dong over the years, as well as the rumors in the market, Bibi Dong had given up on Yu Gang a long time ago. Now he dared to tease her in order to survive. Bibi Dong's mouth curved into an arc. She said to the people below, "Notify the ghost elder and ask him to bring Yu Gang back." After the people left, Bibi Dong stroked the scepter in her hand and murmured, "Dao Gang, why did you come back? You are asking for trouble." Chapter 308. She wants to fight 7 alone. Things here came to an end. Yunfeng also got the result he wanted. Under the fighting spirit stage, Zhao Wu and others also decided who would play today. Because the opponent was Kanghui Academy, they did not send out all their main players. Only Ning Rong was off. Let the 4 people from Lanba Academy play, plus Zhao Wu, Zhu Zuqing and Tang San. They can already steadily control the victory. After Ning Rong got the news, she also ran to the audience with great interest. After a while, she also met Huo Wu, who came with her. Because the two of them are familiar with each other now, they naturally travel together. In fact, Kanghui Academy is not as weak as Zhao Wu and others said, since the Kanghui Academy has only lost 3 games since the competition, and these 3 games were against Xiangji Academy, Leiting Academy and Shifan Academy. When facing other opponents, they have won all of them. and now they are even above Xiangji Academy in the overall ranking. So there are still some who have some skills, but not many. Although the game has not started yet, the players from various colleges waiting in the rest area can still clearly hear the cheers from the audience outside. What attracts the most attention from the audience is the hot candidates for qualifying. In order to make the game more exciting, these teams appear alternately in different rounds every day, unless it is like the day before, when Blue Tyrant College played against Blazing Fire College. There will be two strong teams playing in the same round. However, Yun Feng's appearance gave them too much shock. Even some colleges jointly reported to the higher-ups that Blue Tyrant College was cheating. They wanted to ban Yun Feng from the game. The people above were also very distressed. After all, Yun Feng's age met the eligibility requirements, but his strength was too outrageous. That's why it was the only joint report in the thousands of years since the Soul Master competition was held. But because they don't have enough power here, they can only report to the Spirit Hall. Let's see how the Spirit Hall decides. But before that, Yun Feng can still participate in the competition. Without waiting too long, with the end of the first two rounds, the players participating in the third round should appear. The Lanba Academy walked out of the rest area with the Kanui Academy team members, and the players from both sides were staring at each other. Compared with the Lanba Academy's pride, the 7 Kanui Academy players exuded a cold aura, and the sinister eyes flashing in their eyes seemed to want to eat everyone from the Lanba Academy. The 7 Kanui Academy players are all male, wearing the same moon-white uniform, and their aura is restrained. On the other side, the captain of the Chiuo Academy, Huo Wushwang, saw his little sister and started looking for Yun Feng again. He was also helpless in his heart, because there was a good brother sitting next to him. Feng's ocean has been in a slump since he was hit yesterday. Huo Wushwang comforted him for a long time, but it didn't work. In fact, Huo Wushwang's feelings about Yun Feng are more complicated, because he is too strong. So strong that even the dean of his own academy may not be able to beat him. And Huo Wu's strength is not as good as the opposite side, and he is also afraid that his little sister will be bullied. Mixed feelings. The captain of Kanui Academy looks like he is 30 years old. If it weren't for the relative fairness of the all-continental high-level Soul Master Academy competition, Dao Wu and Zhu Zuqing would have really suspected that he was over the age limit. The captain of the Kanui Academy team snorted coldly, without even looking at them, and walked forward with his head held high. When both sides entered the venue, cheers suddenly broke out, and these cheers naturally did not belong to the Kanui Academy. As the highlight of this round, the match between the Blue Tyrant Academy team and the Kanui Academy team was undoubtedly arranged on the main stage in the center. The Blue Tyrant Academy has long been a frequent visitor here. Where is the captain? Why doesn't the captain of the Blue Tyrant Academy go up, use that peerless move again and smash the opponent into ashes? Long live the Blue Tyrant Academy. Crush the opponent. As expected, everyone cheered for the Blue Tyrant Academy. And Yun Feng only played once, but he gained such a great popularity, it even far exceeded the accumulation of Zhao Wu and the others in 12 games. You can imagine how much strength is valued in Duo. The psychology of admiring the strong is serious. Zuyi in the VIP seat on the stage also listened to the shouting with a smile. The cheers made him feel comfortable. This kid is great. He must be tied to his own camp. Even if he wants his own queen, it's fine, as long as Yun Feng can be retained. Then the eternal existence of the empire is not a dream. As for the person involved, he was also watched by many people. Yun Feng was not arrogant. They all responded to them with a smile. For a while, the cheers were even louder than before. Only the Kanui Academy, their opponent, looked unhappy. Their team leader was gone, and no one knew where he went. Now they have to be treated like this. They simply don't know what to say. Various cheers continued to spread from the audience to the venue, and at this time, the professional commentator in the VIP seat also set his sights on these two teams. The third round of the 12th day is about to begin. I believe everyone has seen it. The Blue Tyrant Academy team is playing in this round. Their opponent is Kanui Academy, which has achieved a good result of 8 wins and 3 losses in 11 games. Judging from the current record, Kanui Academy still has the possibility of qualifying, but according to my personal judgment, The victory of this game is without suspense. The key is how long the Kangui Academy team can withstand the attack of the Lanba Academy team. The commentator's words were undoubtedly sarcastic. As a professional commentator, he did not have any personal inclinations. His inclination would only change according to the wishes of the audience, and at this time, the audience's support undoubtedly fell on Lanba Academy. His words undoubtedly raised the atmosphere on the field to the peak. After hearing the commentator talk about the list of Lanba Academy's participants, he also shook his head and shouted wildly, "If Lanba Academy did not have more substitutes, I can even believe that any one of the contestants Zhou, Juzukin and Zhuguyan could beat 7. Hearing this, Kangui Academy cursed. What the hell? However, the commentator's words undoubtedly made the audience more enthusiastic. You know, because the preliminaries were greatly loved by the audience. The price of tickets has doubled compared to the opening ceremony on the first day, and Juzukin on the field showed a trace of desire and looked at the other 6 people. Zhou and Juzukin have been together the longest. I understood what Juzukin meant at a glance. Although the qualification for the next round has been confirmed, it is okay to let Juzukin play for a while. The commentator's words inspired her. She wanted to fight 7 alone. When Juzukin said this, Douluo was the first to agree. She didn't even want to fight these small fish. Zhuguyan didn't have any objection either. As for Jiangzu and the others, what objection could they have? Isn't it good to win by lying down? So within just half a minute, Lanba Academy reached a consensus. Let Juzukin fight 7 alone. Chapter 309. The speed is so fast that it makes people gasp. There were quite a few powerful soul masters present, and Juzukin and the others did not hide anything when they spoke. In an instant, everyone knew that Juzukin wanted to fight 7. The entire fighting soul field was boiling. Even the audience of other sub-fighting soul fields were infected. For a time, the voices broke through the sky. On the competition stage, the players of both sides had entered, and the competitions on the 5 competition stages started at the same time under the announcement of the referee. What did the audience like to watch the most? As the saying goes, laymen watch the excitement. At the beginning of the game, the process of all soul masters releasing their martial spirits together was undoubtedly the most dazzling, and the appearance of the soul rings one by one, the different effects produced by different martial spirits, the dazzling brilliance will fully mobilize the emotions of the audience every time. Among the 7 people from Kangui Academy, only their captain is a soul master with a strength of more than level 40. That guy who looks like he is in his 30s. The others are only in their 30s. Moreover, even the soul rings of one person are not the best match, and all 3 soul rings are yellow. As for Lanba Academy, when the referee announced the start, Douluo and others smiled and waved to the outside of the field, and jumped out of the fighting spirit stage in the stunned eyes of Ning Fengzi and others. Everyone was welcoming Juzukin, except those gamblers and merchants. One was betting their wealth and didn't want these accidents to happen, and the other was their own advertising investment. Their hearts were bleeding, but they didn't dare to say anything, because once they opened their mouths, they might be torn to pieces by fanatical fans. The 7 people from Kangui Academy looked very cautious. When the referee announced the release of the martial spirit, the 7 people gathered together quickly, and their captain stood in the front, forming a weird formation. In addition to the captain, the other 6 people formed a hexagon and watched Juzukin vigilantly. In fact, for Juzukin, she was the only one left on the fighting spirit stage, and it might be easier to operate. In the online game, she might be that kind of assassin god with high attack and high sensitivity. She just didn't have a moon dance and group attack. But Juzukin didn't relax her vigilance, but became more serious. Because the list of people on the other side is different from the one Liu Erlong gave. 4 people were changed at once. What does this mean? There are only 2 possibilities. One is that Kangui College is ready to give up this game. The other is that they have largely concealed their strength in the previous game. From the aura of the 7 players of Kangui College when both sides came out, Juzukin wiped out the first situation. Then, there is only the second situation. At this time, the 7 opponents looked very cautious and seemed to be a little afraid of Juzukin. But Juzukin did not see the fearful look on their faces. Instead, The deep malice hidden in their eyes made Zhuzuqing particularly familiar. After all, she was born in the Xingliuo Empire, the Zhu family. Without hesitation, Zhuzuqing turned into a shadow and disappeared from the side of Kangyue College. The speed was so fast that it was jaw-dropping. 5 games started at the same time, and the other 4 games had already started fighting. Only the game on the main stage in the center was still in a stalemate, and Kangyue College was still staring at each other. No one took the lead. It seems that they are still waiting for Zhuzuqing to reveal herself. In fact, the opponent's approach is very smart. But who is Zhuzuqing? She has been trained by Feng for so long. She knows everything she should know, and she also knows everything she shouldn't know. Suddenly, there was a wave in front of her, and dozens of Zhuzuqing attacked from different angles. That was her own soul skill, the Nether Shadow clone. Kangyue Academy had expected it long ago. The captain of Kangyue Academy suddenly stretched out his back, and with a slight step, he had retreated 1 meter, just in time to enter the hexagonal formation formed by the other 6 people. As he retreated, the other 6 people took a step at the same time, and the originally dense hexagon suddenly expanded. The strange thing was that although their formation expanded, the hexagonal formation was not scattered at all. The distance of the steps taken by the 6 people was exactly the same, and the position where the captain of Kangyue Academy retreated was exactly in the middle of this formation. It was strictly protected. Obviously, this was a formation that had been practiced for many years. Then, Zhuzuqing clearly saw that the 7 members of Kangyue Academy raised their right hands at the same time. Before, when they released their martial spirits, their bodies did not change, and it was even impossible to tell what their martial spirits were. This was also an important reason why Zhuzuqing became more cautious. The martial spirits of the 3 people who had appeared before were still available for verification, but no one knew what the martial spirits of the 4 people who changed today were. But she understood now. When their martial spirits were truly displayed in front of everyone, anyone who had some knowledge of martial spirits could not help but shrink their pupils. Appearing in the palms of the right hands of the 7 members of the Kangyue Academy team was a gem. The gems in their palms were different in color and appearance. There were round, diamond, triangular, and teardrop-shaped ones, and the colors were also the 7 colors of the rainbow. When these 7 gems appeared at the same time, a layer of colorful light suddenly emerged from them, completely covering the bodies of the 7 people. That was a gem martial spirit, which was definitely a very rare martial spirit. It was not to say that their martial spirits were so powerful, but this kind of martial soul has a characteristic: it has good adaptability. They can go in different directions because of the different soul rings of soul beasts they obtain. Control system, strong attack system, agile attack system, etc. It just highlights a useless one. But because of the versatile, this kind of martial soul is also particularly tricky when the number increases. Because of the nature of the martial soul, they can be fused together. Of course, this kind of martial soul is also extremely rare. How can it not be surprising that 7 soul masters with gem-type martial souls suddenly appeared on the ring? What's more, these 7 people are from the same team. But as an assassin, how could Zhuzuqing let the opponent use his soul skills? Now it's her home court, and she took the initiative. When she approached the distance of 20 meters from the opposite side, 1 person in Kangyue Academy must be eliminated. Sure enough, there was no accident. Between the flashing of the misty treasure light, Zhuzuqing's phantom clone interrupted the opponent's plan. Although the phantom is also somewhat aggressive as a confusion, it is not as good as the entity after all. After consuming 5 or 6 clones, Zhuzuqing successfully came to the side of one of them. First, he stretched out his hand and pulled out a soul master on the opposite side. Then, he took strange steps to dodge several soul skills, and then his slender palms began to turn into claws. Chapter 310 Throw yourself into the sword and kill people in the world of mortals. Netherworld thrust, Netherworld 100 claws, Netherworld slash. In a flash, the soul master who was pulled out and left alone was beaten to the point of losing his ability to fight. He leaned over with his shoulder. After throwing him out of the fighting soul arena, Zhuzuqing's figure disappeared from the fighting soul arena again. It all happened too fast. From Zhuzuqing's attack to the end, The whole process took no more than 2 seconds. He even dodged a few soul skills. Everyone was shocked. Originally, Juzukin was thought to be very strong, but because Juzukin's soul skills were not gorgeous enough, the audience still preferred to watch those games that were very gimmicky. But today they opened their eyes. It turns out that the confrontation between soul masters is so cool to kill people in seconds. In addition, Juzukin's black tights highlighted her figure to the fullest. The whole person was like a rose with thorns. Toss yourself in the white blades, kill people in the world of mortals. The captain of the Kangui Academy team suddenly laughed, and his smile looked very weird. Indeed, they had been patient for a long time, waiting for this moment. However, Juzukin's speed confused him. What the hell is this? They haven't had time to release their ultimate moves, and one of their teammates is gone. Now they can only bite the bullet and continue to fight. The captain of the Kangui Academy team slowly raised his right hand and lifted the gem in his palm. His martial spirit is a round silver gem, which has also become the core of his team. As he lifted his gem, his fourth soul ring also lit up. This is also the only fourth soul ring in the Kangui Academy team. Keeping the same action as him, the other 5 team members also lifted the gems in their hands at the same time, and their third soul rings lit up. Seeing this scene, Juzukin rolled his eyes in the dark, as if she didn't exist. Once again, she dodged and came to the weakest person on the opposite side. This time she didn't waste her soul power. The sharp claws in her hand directly cut off their right hands that released their martial spirits, and then kicked them out of the fighting soul stage. Seeing Juzukin disappearing again, the captain of Kangui Academy fell into panic. It was too scary. Because if Juzukin attacked, they would never know where she would come from. Fortunately, their ultimate move was ready. 5 colorful lights shot up into the sky almost at the same time, with the martial spirit of the captain of Kangui Academy as the center. In an instant, it condensed into a huge colorful light column, which broke through the air and spread out instantly for 30 meters, completely covering the 7 people who formed the formation. In an instant, only the colorful glare was left on the field, and the other 5 people of Kangui Academy disappeared on the fighting spirit stage like Juzukin. The stage was completely covered by the glare. No one could see the situation inside. But there was an exception. Feng frowned and unfolded his mental power. A hidden and powerful invisible light shone through his eyes. Emperor Zuyi in the VIP seat was also surprised and looked at Fengzi and said, "Master Ning, this is a martial soul fusion skill." Fengzi nodded and shook his head, and said solemnly, "No. No one on this continent can complete the martial soul fusion skill of 7 people. The huge energy restrains each other and will cause the body to explode. But it should be a soul skill fusion. But fortunately Juzukin is smart and killed the 2 on the opposite side first. Otherwise she can't deal with the fusion of 7 people's soul skills." As the first auxiliary soul master on the continent, he has a clear understanding of martial souls. And he has also studied this kind of gem martial soul. In fact, the 7 treasures glazed tower is a sublimation of gem martial souls, but the direction of sublimation has become auxiliary. But what shocked him was that they could actually do this step. Not only are all 7 people control type soul masters, but the degree of fit between them is so high. It's incredible. Do they eat, live and sleep together? The 7 people's martial soul fusion skill is not as simple as 2 people's. A team of 7 control-type soul masters is the first in the entire continent. The colorful light enveloped the entire arena. Fengzi wanted to see what was going on inside, but he had no choice because he didn't have the ability to do so. However, the gorgeous light did attract many spectators, and some even fell asleep while watching. On the fighting arena, Juzukin saw that the Kangui Academy on the opposite side was nowhere to be seen, and she had nowhere to hide under the light. A trace of emotion appeared on her calm face. "Your name is Juzukin, right? It's a pity that all your teammates have gone off the field, otherwise they would have died in our Shura environment. Don't blame us, just blame you for being too talented. We will also send all your friends down to accompany you when the time comes." The colorful light instantly enlarged and completely enveloped the entire arena. The arena was round, and the colorful light column was also round. At this moment, The sky-high colorful light almost illuminated the entire arena. The gorgeous light was full of a strange atmosphere. Ning Fengzi also felt that something was wrong, and Yun Feng on the stage had seen it clearly. His eyes gradually became cold. Kangui Academy has already found a way to die. The audience was silent, and the commentator in the VIP seat couldn't say a word. Who knew this commentary would be made? Even the people couldn't see it before the game started. Who would have thought that this would happen? Even the 4 games next to it had stopped at this time. There was no way. The center field was too dazzling. After a simple discussion, the A teams chose to eat melons and play later. Everyone had an idea in their mind. Is this really a preliminaries between colleges? Even the ranking competition for Soul Masters across the continent held by the Spirit Hall should be no more than this. The situation reversed, and everyone expressed their concern for Zhuzuking. After all, she was only one person, and there were 5 on the opposite side. And such a strong soul skill. Yu Erlong was also worried at this moment, holding Yun Feng's hand, and began to say, "Why don't we just admit defeat and go up to stop the game? If this goes on, Zhuking will be in trouble." Yun Feng sneered and comforted Yu Erlong next to him. "It's okay, I'm here. No one can hurt Zhuking." No one could see what was happening on the center stage. All they could see was the dazzling colorful beam of light. Zhuzuking also smiled. After knowing that this was an illusion, she was no longer worried. She had also been learning Yun Feng's method and practicing her mental strength for a long time. In addition, Yun Feng was outside. She was not worried at all about what the other party would do to her. Just because we are geniuses, are you going to kill us? If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 311. Being kind to the enemy is being cruel to yourself. The captain of Kangui Academy was a little uneasy when he saw Zhuzuking so calm. He didn't know where her confidence came from. "What do you think? My mentor is dead, and you all have to be buried with him?" Zhuzuking asked back with interest after hearing this. "Aren't you afraid that my captain Yun Feng will retaliate against you?" A simple sentence, but it pierced her heart like a sword. Yes, they all watched the game yesterday. With the strength comparable to that of a titled Buo, can they really resist the revenge? But now the arrow is on the string and has to be shot, and they are very unhappy with Zhuzuking's contemptuous smile. Why? The stimulated Kangui Academy didn't want to care so much at this time. They just wanted to kill Zhuzuking quickly, and then pretend that their martial soul was out of control and their soul power was out of control, so as to escape the disaster. The illusion began to start, but after all, there were 2 people missing. Although this 7-in-1 fusion technique looked gorgeous and magnificent, various illusions had already begun to appear in Zhuzuking's heart. But compared to Zhuzuking's avoidance from the Xingyuo Empire, there was still something missing. Reason is still preserved here. Zhuzuking also began to get hurt. Because of the illusion, these attacks could not be avoided even if Zhuzuking was fast. Inevitably, wounds were left. When Yun Feng saw this scene, an invisible mental pressure spread towards the center of the venue. A cold light flashed in his eyes. Only Sarah's, Ning Fengzi, Guron and Emperor Zuyi in the VIP seats noticed it. But seeing Yun Feng's actions, no one said anything. Are you kidding? Now they all think Yun Feng is on their side. How could they go against him? On the contrary, in order to avoid being discovered by others, Sarah's, who was always indifferent, pulled Ning Fengzi and Emperor Zuyi to chat about family matters. Ning Fengzi and Emperor Zuyi looked at each other and were naturally very happy about the result. They were also afraid that Sarah's would find out something. An unspoken awkward chat began just like that. Purple light flashed, and the 5 people from Kangui Academy looked ashen, and their minds were as if they were hit by a heavy hammer. The 5 people fell from the illusion, and a lot of blood spurted out of their mouths. The colorful light dissipated. Everything around became clear again. There were originally 6 people on the field, but now only Zhuzuking was left. Zhuzuking was a little confused. She hadn't made a move yet. Everyone present saw Zhuzuking's performance. Yun Feng also smiled. It's worthy of being a kitten, even acting is so good. Even I was almost fooled. Look at the confusion in that little eye. However, compared to Zhuzuking, the remaining 5 people from Kangui Academy fell to the ground with extreme convulsions, foaming at the mouth, and their eyes rolled up. It was like they were mentally disturbed. After a long time, when the referee confirmed that Kangui Academy had completely lost the ability to fight, he also announced tremblingly, Lanba Academy wins. As for Kangui Academy, the Tian Empire also sent a professional team to help them diagnose. The diagnosis result was that the martial soul and soul skills were not integrated properly, and they were used forcibly, resulting in soul power backlash and impacting the brain. Another teacher of Kangui Academy could only accept such a result, because in his impression, this was originally used by 7 people. Now that 2 are missing, it will lead to this. But he still asked with a little reluctance, well, is there any possibility of healing for them? The healing soul master glanced at the 5 people who were still twitching and shook his head. Give up. If the brain is injured, you will only be a fool when you wake up. After saying that, he left the place, leaving the teacher of Kangui Academy looking at the 7 people lying on the ground and falling into deep thought. Is it too late for him to run away now? With such a big mistake, he didn't know whether he should go back. It's terrible. Shinian is gone. 5 students are crazy, and 2 are seriously injured. How can I say this? After Zhuzuking was stunned for a while, he also slowly walked down the fighting soul stage. Although the game was full of drama, Zhuzuking's strength was obvious to all, especially her demeanor of fighting 7 people alone without any concern. The audience greeted her with cheers like welcoming a hero. The Blue Tyrant Academy team once again defended their position with their own strength. The record of 12 consecutive victories was also unrivaled. Zhuzuking returned to the audience and glanced at Yun Feng, but did not say anything immediately. Yun Feng also smiled slightly. Thank you for your hard work. After watching a few more games, the group of people from Blue Tyrant Academy felt that there was no point and returned to the campus. Zhuzuking could no longer help asking, Brother Feng, you? Yun Feng pretended to be unfathomable and slowly said, I didn't mean to interrupt your game on purpose, but their soul skills merged together, which is not something you can deal with now. Then you fell into an illusion at that time. Zhuzuking nodded, but still said, I still retain my sanity. Yun Feng did not smile either, and his expression became serious. Zhuking, I know you want to become stronger, but you can't do it this way. You were still rational before, but after a while, are you sure you can still be rational? They want to kill you on the fighting spirit stage. Zhuzuking stopped talking. After thinking carefully, he realized that he didn't think that much. After a while, he slowly said, I know, brother. Yun Feng looked at Zhuzuking and saw that he seemed to have really figured it out, so he smiled. He was afraid that Zhuzuking would always ignore his own safety in order to become stronger. Okay. Just be careful next time. I will feel bad when I see you get hurt. Jiangsu also went forward to treat Zhuzuking's wounds. In fact, Yun Feng didn't do anything, but they just happened to encounter the field that Yun Feng is best at now. Due to the use of the 7 Azures illusion, the 7 people from Kangui Academy fully output their soul power and transformed it into mental power. This is also their special ability. In this case, their mental defense can be said to be 0. A simple mental shock, the opponent can't stand it, and it is much more fragile than when they don't use martial spirits. After all, how could they have imagined that in this powerful 7-in-1 fusion technique, there would be someone outside the field who could launch a spiritual attack on them? Yun Feng's mental shock directly penetrated the brain, and the soul power backfired. The 7 members of Kangui Academy will not die, but they have all become idiots. Some nerve damage makes it impossible for them to recover forever. Even the best healing soul master is helpless against the extremely delicate organization of the brain. So this is the price. As Yun Feng himself said, he has never been a good person. What he cares about is always his family. To be kind to the enemy is to be cruel to yourself. Chapter 312. So, you want to steal the country? The competition was not long, and no one saw how Zhuzuking won, but they all saw the result. Not everyone has the vision of Ning Fengzi, Ceres, and Emperor Zhu Yi. However, The shock that Kanui Academy's multi-person fusion skills brought to each participating student is difficult to describe in words. However, Kanui Academy still lost. After using the 5-in-1 martial soul fusion skills, it still lost. And they also clearly saw that when Kanui Academy launched the fusion skills, only Zhuzuking was present in Lanba Academy, but she defeated the opponent. Therefore, the participating teams all had deep doubts about these people from Lanba Academy. What are they here for? To be a supporting role? After all, they are all geniuses that everyone is paying attention to. On the way back, Yun Feng and others also talked about Kanui Academy. Yun Feng explained lightly, theirs is not a 7-in-1 martial soul fusion skill. Then Yun Feng also began to explain. He distinguished between soul skill fusion and martial soul fusion. Everyone understood. As Yun Feng's words were heard by passers-by, they soon spread throughout Dandu City. Many participating team members immediately discussed it, and they were all willing to believe Yun Feng's explanation. After all, it was impossible to defeat the 7-in-1 martial soul fusion technique in a one-on-many situation. What's more, the 7-in-1 martial soul fusion technique is a powerful divine skill that only exists in legends. The audience got a visual feast. But today's game also made those who were interested have various different ideas. All forces are thinking about how the Shrek Academy team won today. But after studying for a long time, the final result is that they are invincible. The opponent is too outrageous. Zhuzukin alone can do this. There are many such monsters inside. After Kanui Academy received the news from the organizing committee, they didn't dare to say a word, and took their students and left Dandu City in disgrace. After all, they did do a lot of things that were difficult to show during the competition, although there was no handle left. But who can be sure? After all, Shinayan is missing. Who can guarantee that there will be no one who survived Shinayan and identified their Kanui Academy? However, not long after Yun Feng returned to the academy, Emperor Zui also arranged for someone to pass on the message. Yun Feng looked at the man in brocade clothes in front of him and said lightly, "What's the matter?" The man in brocade clothes did not dare to neglect Yun Feng's inquiry. He told Yun Feng about Emperor Zui's invitation to Yun Feng. After Yun Feng tasted the tea made by Meow Meow, he looked at the man in front of him and said slowly, "I'll be there later." After receiving the news, the man in brocade clothes bowed and left. Looking back at Liu Erlong, they all looked at him with their hands on their hips. Yun Feng did not hide it, but just looked at Meow Meow and slowly spoke of his thoughts. Liu Erlong looked inexplicable. "So, you want to steal the country?" Yun Feng nodded truthfully. "With my potential, I can put an end to the war on this continent within 5 years, give civilians a way to survive, and give freedom to people of ordinary status like Meow Meow before." Liu Erlong's way of looking at things is very rational, perhaps because he has experienced a lot of things. He likes to read books whenever he has nothing to do. He also gave different opinions on this. "First of all, I don't oppose you stealing the country, but have you ever thought that even if there really comes a day when you successfully end this chaotic world, there are still a lot of filth behind it? What will you do? After all, this kind of thing will never stop." Liu Erlong's question is very sharp, and Yun Feng has also thought about it, but the answer he can give is, "As long as I am here, the probability of this happening will be much smaller, right?" Faced with Yun Feng's answer, Liu Erlong was silent for a while. "That's right, at least most of them can be saved." The other women naturally had no objection to Yun Feng's proposal. What they care about is another thing. If Yun Feng becomes the emperor, then he is going to open the harem! Are their jokes really going to come true? After hesitating for a while, they still didn't choose to say it. What if he didn't have this plan originally, and after they reminded him, Yun Feng was going to open the harem? That would be so sad. After explaining the situation, Yun Feng also returned to the study, picked up a pen and paper, and began to write a letter. He was going to tell Bibi Dong some of his ideas so that she wouldn't be suspicious. After writing, Yun Feng sealed it with letter wax, and then placed the sword seal on it. Then he walked out of the door. The women had long known that Yun Feng had a connection with the spirit hall. When Ning Rong first learned about this, she asked Yun Feng worriedly, but Yun Feng gave her a guarantee. Ning Rong was pure in love, so she naturally believed whatever Yun Feng said. But Yun Feng didn't lie to her. After all, Ning Rong was his girlfriend. How could he go to destroy her sect? Yun Feng couldn't do such a thing. After saying hello, Yun Feng began to walk towards the Tandu Palace. After all the plans were based on Emperor Zhu Yi. When passing by the Wuhun Hall stationed in Tandu City, Yun Feng also handed it over directly to Saras. After a brief chat, Saras took the letter and began to give orders. After arriving at the Tandu Palace, Yun Feng couldn't help but sigh. This snowy night emperor really knows how to enjoy himself. The first thing that caught his eye was the two golden gates, which were tens of meters high. There was also a golden plaque hanging above the palace gate, engraved with two eye-catching characters Tandu. At the gate of the palace, someone had been waiting for a long time. It was the man in brocade clothes who had reported the news before. When he saw Yun Feng appear, his eyes were full of surprise. After all, if Yun Feng didn't come, even if the emperor wouldn't say anything, he would leave a reputation of incompetence in his heart, and it would be difficult for him to be reused in the future. Along the way, the man in brocade clothes also tried his best to please Yun Feng, and from time to time introduced Yun Feng to the facilities in the palace. Because the palace was very large, Yun Feng and others walked for a long time before they arrived at the Hall of Supreme Harmony, the hall where the emperor and ministers discussed matters. The dragon chair of the Hall of Supreme Harmony was placed on a golden platform with 7 steps in the center of the hall. It was painted with gold and was also called a gold-painted dragon-carved wooden chair. It was a top-grade ritual utensil. Its backrest was a round chair style, with 4 columns supporting the armrests, and was decorated with 13 golden dragons, looking around with a majestic look. Its material was unknown, but judging from its appearance, it must be expensive. Behind the dragon chair was a set of 7 large screens that were finely carved and painted with gold. At this time, the person sitting on the dragon chair was Emperor Zhu Yi, but under Yun Feng's mental power exploration, he found that there was a woman hiding behind this screen. Judging from her appearance, she was not very old. At this time, there were only Yun Feng, Emperor Zhu Yi and the man in brocade clothes in the hall. The man in brocade clothes bowed and stepped back, and only Yun Feng and Emperor Zhu Yi were left in the open. Chapter 313 They are all old women. Don't look at them. After seeing the people leave, Emperor Zhu Yi also calmly walked down from the dragon throne and said kindly, "Friend Yun Feng, you are a true genius of the empire. I was busy with state affairs before, so I didn't have the chance to see you. Now I see carefully. You are indeed a talented person with elegant demeanor." Emperor Zhu Yi took the initiative as soon as he came up, secretly saying that Yun Feng was from the Tandu Empire. In fact, in the world of Douluo, the boundaries of nationality are very vague, but strictly speaking, it is true. Because the population here is very free to move, you can go wherever you want, as long as you are strong enough. It doesn't matter where you settle. That's why Emperor Zhu Yi said so. Facing Emperor Zhu Yi's temptation, Yun Feng also said neither servilely nor arrogantly, "Thank you for your praise, Your Majesty. I am just a commoner in the Tandu Empire, it's not worth it." When Emperor Zhu Yi heard Yun Feng's words, he was immediately very happy. As long as Yun Feng still admits that he is from the Tandu Empire, then there is a lot of room for operation. The main purpose of Emperor Zhu Yi calling Yun Feng this time was to build a relationship and see if he could sell his favorite daughter. So he was very enthusiastic. He didn't look like a king at all, but like an old grandfather, caring about the younger generation. Yun Feng, who also had needs, began to act with Emperor Zhu Yi. After a heart-to-heart talk, Emperor Zhu Yi was extremely satisfied with Yun Feng. What a kind and righteous child. If Yun Feng was not his child, he would have wanted to pass the throne to Yun Feng. At the end of the exchange, Emperor Zhu Yi also began to talk about his purpose. "That Zhao Feng, you have a lot of confidence around you." Yun Feng smiled. "It's my honor." When Emperor Zhu Yi heard this, he coughed a few times. It seemed as if he was reminding the people behind the screen. Yun Feng saw through it but didn't say it, and kept smiling at Emperor Zhu Yi. It made Emperor Zhu Yi a little uncomfortable, but the emperor's demeanor still didn't let him make that awkward smile. Sure enough, after Emperor Zhu Yi finished coughing, a surprised voice flashed from the other side of the screen. "Father, I'm here to see you." But when the girl came out, she saw that her father and Yun Feng were looking at her with strange eyes. She immediately knew that her performance was too bad, and she was completely sluggish. She was very shy. Emperor Zuyi naturally couldn't let the situation become so awkward, so he said directly, "Okay, Zook, haven't you been yelling at me that you want to meet Yun Feng? Now the opportunity has come. Don't blame your father for not introducing me." Zook suddenly became anxious and stomped her feet fiercely, showing the little girl's posture and shyness vividly. She said in a delicate voice, "Father." After that, she buried her head in her neck, not daring to look up, and her hands were still clenched tightly around her robe. Emperor Zuyi also looked at Yun Feng with a smile, and then said to Zook, "Daughter, I will leave first. There are still some things to do. You are responsible for taking Yun Feng for a walk." Zook heard this and hesitated in a low voice. Emperor Zuyi was not angry, but patted Yun Feng's shoulder meaningfully, and then left. Yun Feng knew that Emperor Zuyi wanted to create an opportunity for them. But Yun Feng came with other purposes now. Now he can only accompany him to play. But Yun Feng is not a saint. If he doesn't take the initiative, it will be fine. But as a princess, Zook is really beautiful, with beige hair and a school uniform with Yuxun printed on it. The overall color is mainly gray. Although her figure is not outstanding, she has a unique charm. She is wearing white silk on her legs, which is very cute. No wonder Emperor Zuyi and Zooking protect this girl very well. Yun Feng was not idle either. After seeing Emperor Zuyi leave, he took the initiative to step forward and said warmly, "Princess Zook, my name is Yun Feng, nice to meet you." Hearing Yun Feng's gentle voice, Zook immediately began to stutter, and mustered up the courage to raise her head. Looking at Yun Feng's divine face so close, her breathing became rapid. Hello, my name is Zook." Yun Feng smiled and nodded, but sighed in his heart. Another girl who is confused by my appearance. After finishing his narcissism, Yun Feng continued, "Then Princess Zook, how about we go for a walk together?" Zook nodded subconsciously. After all, Douluo people are all in love. And when Yun Feng fought against the Blazing Academy last time, he had already conquered most of the women in the Tandu Empire, whether they were civilians or soul masters. "Okay, where are we going?" Yun Feng was stunned, and then said, "Princess Zook, your father wants you to take me for a walk." "I don't know much about the palace." Zook patted her head. She smiled embarrassedly. "Okay, I'll take you to play." Yun Feng looked at Zook who was walking in front of him. He said in his heart, "You can't tell that she grew up in the royal family. She is so simple and scary." And this brainless Zook actually took Yun Feng directly to the royal harem. When he got inside and looked at the beautiful women around him, Yun Feng realized something and asked curiously, "Princess Zook, where is this? Why are there so many women?" Zook blinked her big eyes and said naively, "This is the harem. I'll take you to see my mother." Yun Feng's face was full of black lines, although she was full of doubts about the emperor's harem and wanted to learn about it. "But you took me to see your mother directly when you came here. Is it developing too fast?" Zook looked at Yun Feng's expression and realized something, and hurriedly explained, "That, I don't mean that. It's just that my mother said I met." Zook's face flushed when she said this, and she realized something. Yun Feng looked at the little stutterer and said helplessly, "It's okay, since we are here, let's go and take a look." Zook was immediately happy when she heard this. In fact, she is not completely naive, and she also has her own little thoughts in her heart. She is full of admiration for Yun Feng, and judging from her father's intention, she also hopes that she and Yun Feng will be together. So unconsciously, she regarded herself as Yun Feng's girlfriend, and Yun Feng, as her boyfriend, must be taken to meet her mother. Along the way, Yun Feng and Zook also saw many concubines who were playing outside. Seeing a handsome man like Yun Feng, they couldn't help but look at him a few more times. Zook pouted her lips in anger. She blocked Yun Feng in front of him and said to Yun Feng, "They are all old women. Don't look at them." Yun Feng was stunned and suddenly laughed. "They are your father's concubines. How could I have any ideas?" Chapter 314 The woman in front of me looks fertile. Zook thought about it carefully, but looking at the eyes of those women, she still quickly took Yun Feng away from this place. Find time to report to the emperor and ask him to take care of these women. Too shameless. Not long after, Yun Feng and Zook came to a magnificent palace. The maid at the door did not stop them after seeing that it was Princess Zook. She just looked at Yun Feng in confusion. After all, it is a bit wrong to have a man in the harem, but these things are not for her, a little maid, to take care of. Before entering the house, Zook began to shout, "Mother, mother!" At the same time, a lazy voice came from the house. "It's Zook, just come in." Zook didn't think much, and pulled Yun Feng and pushed the door directly in. But Yun Feng was dumbfounded when he went in. Zook's mother, wearing a gauze, her figure was looming, extremely tempting, and as a mother, the mature woman's charm on her body was even stronger. Zook was also dumbfounded when she saw this scene, and hurriedly covered Yun Feng's eyes. "Don't look. Don't look. Mom, put on your clothes quickly." Zook's mother also reacted at this time. She saw her daughter covering a man's eyes at the door. She was shocked. Why did this damn girl bring a man to the harem? Although she thought so in her heart, her hands did not slow down at all, and she quickly put on her clothes. After finishing the arrangement, Yun Feng put down the hand covering his eyes. Zook also realized that she seemed to have done something wrong. She looked at her mother pitifully. Mom Zhukexin frowned and pinched Zook's ears directly. "Why are you still so reckless? If your father knew, we will both be in trouble." Yun Feng didn't know whether to sit there or leave. He didn't know where to put his hands. "What's going on?" "But the lady has a really good figure." Zook was in so much pain that tears were about to fall out. "Mom, I didn't mean it. I just wanted to bring brother Yun here for you to see. I didn't expect that you were the one being seen." Zhukexin's eyes were filled with anger. "How dare you say that?" The strength in her hands could not help but increase. However, Zhukexin also caught the key words in Zook's words. "Yun, isn't that the imperial prodigy that the entire Tandu Empire is talking about now?" Thinking of this, Zhukexin also hurriedly looked at Yun who was standing uncomfortably at the door. A smile suddenly appeared on her face. "Are you Yun?" Yun smiled awkwardly. "Yes, my lady." Zhukexin's eyes lit up all of a sudden. Looking at Yun's handsome face, the whole person unconsciously became gentle. The hand that was pinching Zook's ear was also placed on her lower abdomen and overlapped. "Hurry up and sit down. Hurry up and sit down. It's all because Zook is ignorant. She didn't even notify me when she came." "Don't mind it." Yun didn't mind. "Not at all. I didn't expect that. Emperor Zuyi's aesthetic taste is still good. The woman in front of him looks good at giving birth, but for now, she probably doesn't have that function. After all, Qian Renxu's plan has been going on for a long time. The poison has already spread to Emperor Zuyi's body." After chatting with Zook's mother for a while, Yun Feng couldn't stand the enthusiasm of the mother and daughter, so he found an excuse and ran away with Zook. Looking at Zook's puzzled eyes, Yun Feng also said, "Let's go somewhere else to play. We can't keep nagging Aunt." Yes, during this time, Yun Feng's name for Zhukexin has become Aunt. This is Zhukexin's special request. And the way he looks at himself is getting more and more wrong. This is a taboo. Yun Feng, who was afraid of being targeted, directly chose an emergency escape. Run away with Zook. After walking around for a while, Yun Feng looked at the clothes on Zook and said, "Princess Zook, what are you wearing?" Zook was stunned, and then said to Yun Feng angrily, "Actually, brother Yun Feng, don't call me princess, just call me Zook or something." Yun Feng smiled and pointed at himself. "I may not be as old as you." Zook was stunned. It seemed to be the case. But looking at Yun Feng's appearance, he can indeed be his elder brother. Zook did not change her words, and Yun Feng agreed to call her without the word princess. Zook also explained, "This is the clothes worn in Yuxuan. Does it look good?" Yun Feng's eyes moved, and he praised repeatedly, "It looks good. But what kind of place is Yuxuan?" Hearing Yun Feng's question, Zook's eyes suddenly lit up. "Yuxuan is a comprehensive place for learning etiquette and so on. You can learn a lot there. The owner of Yuxuan is very gentle." Seeing Zook's understanding, Yun Feng also said directly, "Why don't we go to Yuxuan to play? I haven't been there yet." Zook didn't know where to take Yun Feng. Seeing that she took the initiative to bring it up, she nodded and agreed. Okay, let you see how good I am. I'm good at dancing and playing the piano." Yun Feng was not completely greedy for Tang Yu's body. but that was related to Tang San's future opportunities. At this time, Tang Hao had just left Yuxuan. There were still a table of wine bottles on the table. Tang Yua looked at Tang Hao's back with great concern. Her eyes full of heartache, she murmured, "Why did it become like this? Who is Tang San?" Obviously, Tang Hao had told Tang Yua everything that happened to Tang San. Because he had no money, he shamelessly came to Yuxuan to ask for a sum of money. Then he left. When Yun Feng and Zook were heading to Yuzhuan, they also saw a tall figure, but because he was wearing a hood, it was not very clear. He just looked very decadent. His inner thoughts were unknown. Zook seemed very happy along the way. He jumped and pointed at a tall building in the distance. "This is Yuzhuan." Yun Feng looked up at the outside of Yuzhuan and saw a crescent-shaped decoration above the main entrance. The surrounding area was like branches of a plant, covering most of Yuzhuan. The color was mainly golden yellow. There was a red welcome mat with patterns on the steps at the door. There were also 2 guards at the door. When the guard at the door saw that it was Zook, he bowed and greeted. Zook walked in first. When Yun Feng was about to go in, the guard stopped Yun Feng. "Sir, please show your identity." Yun Feng smiled, and then said, "I am Yun Feng, the one in Lan Ba Academy." After the 2 guards looked at each other, they also hurriedly bowed and let him go. It is much more comfortable to reveal your identity appropriately than to give a mindless slap in the face. Yun Feng did not need to slap the faces of these conscientious guards. Chapter 315 Beautiful Woman Tang Yua. So I chose to be straightforward. Zook wanted to go forward and talk, but Yun Feng pulled her back. "It's okay." After entering the interior, it was quite gorgeous. The crescent-shaped gems were attached to the roof, and there were other crescent-shaped gems around. The chairs used by the guests were also made of crescent-shaped gems. It seemed that everything was carefully arranged by the owner of Yuxuan. So many crescent-shaped gems seemed to correspond to Yuxuan. Everyone in Yuxuan was dressed appropriately, and there was no mess at all. Seeing Zook's arrival, some noble children also came forward to show off what they had learned, and there were also some very showy men. I hurriedly ran up to greet Zook. "Your Highness, didn't you go back for something?" "Princess Zook, who is the man next to you? He is dressed so poorly." "What does the guard do? He actually let such a civilian come in." Zook was not interested in these second generation of descendants. "Forget about asking about my whereabouts. How dare you say such arrogant words to your father, mother and future husband whom you all approve of?" His eyebrows twisted into a ball immediately. He shouted sternly, "Who gave you the courage to ask me about my affairs? And keep your mouth clean, otherwise your fathers can't protect you." Obviously Zook usually has a good personality, so many men think they have a chance. Now seeing Zook treat a strange man so intimately, he is naturally very angry. He ran out to cause trouble in a fit of anger. Yun Feng also smiled. "I am a civilian. My name is Yun Feng." Who in the Tandu Empire doesn't know the 2 words Yun Feng? The genius who surpassed the limit of soul ring absorption. The genius whose soul king body can fight with the ancient banyan of the 7 treasures glazed sect. The genius who made all the teams despair. The genius favored by all forces. Before, these powerful disciples still despised Yun Feng in their hearts. A pretty boy can only hide behind the princess. Now that Yun Feng reported his name, everyone was stunned. Only the noble ladies were left, looking at Yun Feng with sharp eyes. They wished something interesting would happen on the spot. The shadow of a tree, the reputation of a person. These things cannot be faked. If they could take down Yun Feng, it would be a huge boost for their family. For a moment, Yun Feng instantly became the hot commodity of the entire Yuxuan. All the women wanted to take a bite. Compared with those men, girls have a greater advantage. Zook couldn't stop the women from coming together. She could only watch herself being squeezed out of Yun Feng's side, watching them seduce Yun Feng one by one in a gorgeous way. Tears were about to drip down. There was mist in her eyes. Yun Feng was also numb from the noise of these beautiful women. It was too difficult to guard against the groping of these noble ladies. Just when Yun Feng and Zook felt very uncomfortable, a voice came from the 2nd floor of Yuxuan. "What a disgrace to make so much noise." The voice was full of the flavor of a queen. When the voice sounded, everyone in Yuxuan calmed down. Obviously, this woman has a great personality charm in Yuxuan. Otherwise these children of the rich and powerful would not listen to her so much. Why don't you go to class? The royal sister's voice sounded again. Everyone scattered like fish and birds and left this place one after another. Yun Feng looked up along the source of the voice. It was an extremely beautiful woman. At first glance, she seemed to be about 27 or 28 years old, but her eyes seemed to see through everything in the world, which was definitely not comparable to a 27 or 28-year-old woman. The silver palace dress looked so fitting on her. In terms of temperament alone, Yun Feng had never seen anyone comparable to her. Perhaps only Gu Duoina could compete with her. But the difference was that she did not have the pressure of Gu Duoina, but she was no less noble. Moreover, there was no soul power fluctuation on this woman, so she was obviously not a soul master. Yun Feng instantly understood who the person was. It could not be anyone else except Tang Yue. Yun Feng also cupped his hands and said, "I'm new here, and I've caused a lot of trouble to Yuxuan. I hope Madame Yu doesn't mind." Tang Yue looked at this polite and handsome man, and she felt a little bit of goodwill in her heart. "Mr. Yun Feng, there's no need to be like this. I wonder what you're doing in Yuxuan?" Yun Feng shook his head and pointed at Zook and said, "I just came to see what Zook's class looks like." Tang Yue was not surprised. She had already reported what had just happened, but she didn't expect that the group of female students under their Yuxuan would be so unable to control themselves. That's why she came out to scold them. "In that case, Mr. Yun, come with me to watch." It's no wonder that Tang Yue was alert. After all, Yun Feng now has too many labels on him. Not only does he have unclear relationships with multiple forces, now he has come to Yuxuan. Who doesn't know that Yuxuan belongs to Hashan sect? Yun Feng didn't have any objection to hearing this. Zook brought Yun Feng to Tang Yue's side. When he came to her, Yun Feng knew what a top mature woman was. She was at the same level as Liu Yulong, but her personality was completely opposite. Yun Feng's heart, which was originally full of thoughts, became much calmer. Temperament really affects a person. Tang Yue looked at the boy who walked to her side. She found that the boy also exuded a similar aura as her. It was like she had discovered something of the same kind. She was born with a talent field, the noble ring, so she was very familiar with this aura. But Yun Feng's was obviously not this kind, but it was very similar. She couldn't help but feel a great favor. In fact, what Tang Yue sensed was the blue-silver field on Yun Feng. But Tang Yue didn't make a fuss, just walked in front with Yun Feng. Her red lips slightly opened, and slowly introduced some measures of Yuxuan. Yun Feng also saw a lot of so-called elegance here, musical instruments, dances and so on. There are thousands of postures, but it sounds and looks really beautiful. Yun Feng came here just to make acquaintance. Everything should be done step by step. "Mr. Yun, would you like to come to Yuxuan to study for a while?" Tang Yue looked at Yun F, and on impulse, she directly invited Yun F. Yun F did not expect Tang Yue to invite him, and after smiling, he still refused. "Sorry, I can't calm down now. If you need it in the future, come to study again." Tang Yue did not feel embarrassed or annoyed when she heard Yun F's refusal, but just a little regretful. "It is Yue who is abrupt. Seeing that Mr. Yun has a good appearance, I invited him. However, if you need it in the future, you can still come to Yuxuan." Chapter 316. You know whether you are scary or not. Yun Feng cupped his hands and said with a smile, in the future, definitely." For some reason, Tang Yue always felt a little awkward when listening to Yun Feng's words. It was just very strange. Tang Yue sent Yun Feng to the door of Yuxuan and watched the backs of Yun Feng and Zook leaving. They are a good match, but they are a little fickle. I hope Zook will not be wronged. With the preconceived concept, Tang Yue has already regarded Zook as Yun Feng's girlfriend. Even Zook herself thinks so. After Yun Feng and Zook walked for a while, it was time to say goodbye. Zook actually looked at Yun Feng with a reluctant look on her face, as if waiting for something from Yun Feng. Yun Feng was stunned for a moment, and then he smiled helplessly and said, "My princess, you should go back now." When Zook heard Yun Feng's words, her face was immediately flushed, and she ran away with her face covered. Yun Feng took this back figure into his eyes, and naturally knew what girls of this age were thinking. But he didn't feel guilty at all. He just hummed a little tune and walked towards Lanba Academy. The girls in Lanba Academy were also looking forward to it, especially now Huo Wu has been waiting for Yun Feng for a long time, because they just confirmed their relationship. Huo Wu came to Lanba Academy as soon as the game ended, but she didn't find anyone. This also disappointed Huo Wu. After waiting for a long time, she found that he hadn't come back yet. When Huo Wu was about to leave, Yun Feng's voice suddenly rang out, "My little Huo Wu, where are you going?" Huo Wu was stunned, looking at Yun Feng's handsome face. Her breathing became rapid, but the next moment she said fiercely, "Who is the little Huo Wu? I am obviously older than you." After saying that, she still felt unsatisfied and added another sentence, "Little brat." Yun Feng smiled and didn't care. Little brats are little brats, it doesn't matter, she will cry anyway. Adhering to this idea, Yun Feng didn't say much, just pulled Huo Wu into the house. It didn't end until dawn. The preliminaries were in full swing, and Lanba Academy continued to triumph. Soon, the 27 preliminaries were coming to an end, with only the last round to go. At present, the top teams in the preliminaries are ranked as follows: Lanba Academy, 26 wins in 26 games, well-deserved first place. Blazing Academy, 25 wins in 26 games, because Yun Feng only released some moves when he appeared, but did not directly attack the people of Blazing Academy, which allowed them to preserve their strength and win other games. Shen Academy, 24 wins in 26 games, and it was Blazing Academy that defeated them. After all, there was a key person who let them win, so it was not easy to not lose. And Lanba Academy, Danshui Academy, 24 wins in 26 games. Dandu Royal Academy, 22 wins in 26 games. As for Xiangjia Sect and Leiting Academy, they were even more unlucky. The top 5 teams almost lost all of them, and they only had 21 wins. The qualifying teams are almost certain. They are Lanba Academy, Chiyuo Academy, Shen Academy, Danshui Academy, and Dandu Royal Academy. In the last round, neither Thunder Academy nor Xiangjia Academy played against the top 5. Among the top 5, only Lanba Academy and Danshui Academy played together, and Dandu Royal Academy played against a team of unknown academies. So even if Thunder Academy and Xiangjia Academy won, it would not change anything, because the last-ranked Dandu Royal Academy could not lose to that unknown team. Therefore, in the last round of the preliminaries, the organizing committee deliberately put Lanba Academy and Danshui Academy together. Both sides have a large number of girls, so it is naturally full of gimmicks. Therefore, the battle between Lanba Academy and Danshui Academy is undoubtedly the top priority, and it is naturally arranged to be held on the main stage in the center. There are 14 games every day, divided into 3 rounds. Since today's game is no longer relevant to qualifying, and it is the last round again, the students who have been eliminated naturally have no intention of fighting. The first 2 rounds of the game ended quickly. In the rest area, when Yun Feng and the others were still talking and laughing, a group of girls also walked towards Yun Feng and the others. Feeling someone approaching, Yun Feng got up from Bridget's chest, with a trace of water on the corner of his mouth. "What's wrong? Someone is coming." Yun Feng raised his head and looked at the Danshui girl who was walking over. "What is this for? Declaring war?" The other side shouldn't be that stupid. As expected, Shui Binger, the captain of Danshui College, walked to the front of Lanbi College, put her hair behind her ears with her hands, and slowly said to Zhuzuking, "Excuse me, your captain won't play?" After saying that, she looked at Yun Feng with a little uneasiness, as if she was a little embarrassed. After all, how could an opponent come to ask the strongest fighting force on the other side whether to play or not? Yun Feng also pulled the corner of his mouth, not knowing what to say. Zhuzuking looked at the girls from Danshui College. All of them were very beautiful. After silently glancing at the direction where Yun Feng was, she slowly said, "Our captain probably won't play, and I advise you to leave here as soon as possible." After saying that, Zhuzuking felt that it was not enough, and added another sentence, "Believe me?" The girls from Danshui College all had question marks on their faces, but seeing Zhuzuking's serious eyes, they still nodded. After all, there was no need for others to lie to them, and the purpose of this trip was also achieved. After a slight bow, she slowly said, "See you on the court." Zhu Zuqing looked at the Danshui College going away, and then she breathed a sigh of relief. After all, Yun Feng was too evil. The girls who were close to him almost fell. Yun Feng naturally heard Zhu Zuqing's words. "Zuqing, am I that scary? It's so sad." Zhu Zuqing glanced at Yun Feng. "You know whether you are scary or not." As soon as these words came out, everyone laughed. Everyone was laughing so hard that they were shaking with laughter. Only Yun Feng was hurt. The young girls from Danshui College who left were also discussing. "Big sister, Yun Feng, the captain of Laundry College, is so handsome. I can't stand it. Why do we have to leave so soon? He is strong and handsome. He fits my mate selection criteria." The one who spoke was a girl with an oval face. She looked to be in her early 20s. She was petite and had short dark green hair that made her look very energetic. All the girls were wearing blue team uniforms. The admissions standards of Danshui College were also very strict, because in addition to the water attribute martial spirit, they had several additional requirements. First, only female students were accepted. Second, only beautiful women were accepted. I was so angry. When will men stand up? Chapter 317. Otherwise, you will bleed into a river. But they also have a humane side. Danshui College is the only one open to civilians among the 5 elemental colleges. This is the same as Lanba College. Therefore, all the players from Danshui College who came to participate in the competition this time are not only composed of female students, but also beautiful women. The dark green short-haired girl who spoke seemed to be the youngest of the 7 official team members. There was still a bit of childishness on her face. "Seventh girl, when did you become a fangirl? If you keep going like this, won't you let him go later?" An oval-faced red-haired girl teased. "He's obviously very handsome. Okay, do you dare to say that you didn't peek at the captain of Laundry College just now?" Everyone wanted to stick their eyes on him. "And you still have the nerve to say that to me?" As soon as these words came out, they exploded. Everyone blushed and froze in place. This included Shui Binger, but as the captain, she took a deep breath and said seriously, okay, don't make a fuss for now. The captain of the other team is not on the court, so we still have hope of winning, although we can definitely qualify. But if we lose now, when the finals come, Yun Feng on the other side will play. What should we do? Lose again? So we have to work hard in this game. At least we have to break their undefeated myth. Compared with the previous 2 girls, Shui Binger's voice is much more stable. Among all the 7 participating players of Danshui College, she is not the oldest one. She may even be one of the youngest ones, because she seems to be less than 20 years old. But when she spoke, the expressions of the other 6 girls were obviously restrained, and their eyes looking at her were also a bit respectful. Shui Binger is about 1.65 meters tall and has a very well-proportioned figure. She is neither the exaggerated plump nor the thin type. Her long aqua blue hair is scattered behind her, and her fair face is dotted with delicate features. At first glance, she does not seem to be particularly stunning. But when you look closely, you can continue to discover her beauty. It was a kind of hazy beauty. The status of the Danshui Academy team members is not ranked according to age, but according to strength. So Shui Binger deserves to be the eldest sister among the 7. The other people in the team are also convinced by Shui Binger. Her status in Danshui Academy is just like Yun Feng in Lanba Academy. Even more important, because Yun Feng is the trump card, and she has always been the backbone, and she has to keep fighting. Soon it was the turn of Lanba Academy and the 5 Elements team to appear. When the 5 major element academies and Lanba Academy entered the arena at the same time, the entire Tandu Grand Fighting Soul Arena was completely boiling. Today is the last day of the preliminaries, and this is the last round of the game. In order to watch the grand occasion of the 5 major element academies and Lanba Academy competing on the same field, today's ticket price is several times higher than before. Despite this, it is still hard to get a ticket. The people who appeared in Lanba Academy were still the same few people, Douluo and the other 3, without the crimson beads. After they boarded the Fighting Soul stage from both sides, the audience burst into unprecedented enthusiasm. The referee's passionate voice also resounded throughout the Tandu Great Soul Fighting Arena. Let's focus on the central main arena, which will also be the most exciting game today. The Blue Tyrant Academy team and the Tanshui Academy team, which have already been confirmed to qualify from the preliminaries, will stage the final excitement of the Tandu City preliminaries of this year's All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition. Shui Binger, who stepped onto the main arena, also breathed a sigh of relief, seeing that Yun Feng did not play. In fact, it can't be blamed on her. After all, Yun Feng is a monster. Last time, many people jointly asked the organizing committee to cancel Yun Feng's qualification to participate. The organizing committee also took this matter very seriously. It was reported to the Spirit Hall, but in the end, the Spirit Hall gave the answer that Yun Feng did not break the rules of the game, so their request was rejected. This also silenced many students, but the disciples of the Elephant Armor sect began to mock them, saying that they could beat the Blue Tyrant Academy without Yun Feng playing. When this was said, all the students were silent. 4 soul sects, and each of them is very powerful. Fight with your head. Douluo smiled and greeted the Tanshui Academy, which was full of girls. She was too familiar with Yun Feng's personality. If they build a good relationship now, they might become sisters in the future. The referee signaled the players on both sides to salute each other. The two sides stood in a row. Shui Binger and Juzukin stood opposite each other, and saw Shui Binger's appearance clearly. Juzukin couldn't help but be slightly surprised, and felt that her decision was correct, especially that although Shui Binger's aura was not strong, the wise light in her eyes couldn't help but remind her of Yun Feng's eyes. This is a very smart girl. After reporting each other's martial spirits, they showed respect for their opponents. Juzukin, deputy captain of the Blue Tyrant team. Shui Binger, captain of the Tanshui team. Shui Douluo, level 36 agility attack system battle spirit master. Originally, the captains of both sides reported their levels to each other, but Shui Douluo didn't expect to get involved. This is a competition, not a competition. Shui Douluo's words suddenly seemed a bit abrupt, but she didn't seem to be looking at the level reported by Lanba Academy, but in the direction of Yun Feng. Shui Douluo also found something wrong after she finished speaking, and a blush suddenly appeared on her pretty face. But this girl was obviously very generous, and did not hide her interest in Yun Feng. She just stared at him with her big eyes. Juzukin was stunned. Unexpectedly, after the prompt was completed, there was still the girl who fell into the trap. In desperation, Juzukin took a closer look at Shui Douluo's appearance and decided to be gentler next time. Yun Feng also suffered an inexplicable disaster, and the soft flesh on his waist was persecuted again. Meow meow. Liu Rulong pinched Yun Feng on the left and right. Yun Feng felt wronged, and didn't care what Zook and Ziji next to him thought. I didn't say a word to the other side the whole time, and I didn't even recognize the name when the other side reported it. He was too wronged. Zook looked at Yun Feng's painful appearance, and also begged for mercy carefully beside Liu Rulong. Sister, can you let go of brother Yun Feng? He is in so much pain. Liu Rulong looked at Zook, who was blinking her big eyes, and was also helpless. Why can this kid get so much attention? But because the other party has not yet joined this small team, she is still a princess in name. Liu Rulong couldn't ignore Zook's request. Princess Zook, you can't just look at the surface. Look at how many girlfriends Yun Feng has, and now he is still attracting bees and butterflies outside. If you don't take care of it outside, it will be a disaster. But Liu Rulong's explanation to Zook was obviously useless. She was born in the royal family, and her father married more wives than Yun Feng. Immediately retorted, but he didn't this time. He is innocent, and my father has many wives. Liu Rulong had no choice but to glare at Yun Feng fiercely and let go of her little hand. Seeing this, Miyomie rubbed Yun Feng's waist with a distressed look on her face. Yun Feng breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at Shui Douluo, he revealed a trace of grief and anger. He secretly said in his heart, "You'd better not fall into my hands, otherwise I will make you bleed like a river." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo fanfic novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 318. Be careful. It's a martial soul fusion technique. The competition on the fighting spirit stage has already started for a while. Dan Shui College is indeed worthy of the title of a strong team. In addition to Shui Binger, who is level 43, there are 2 soul masters above level 40. One is one of the 3 strong attacking soul masters standing in the front, and the other is the black-haired girl standing at the end of their team. Although the colors of the soul rings are different, the colors of the martial spirits of the 7 members of Dan Shui College are the same. They are all aqua blue. The fighting spirits are also unique and full of beauty, especially Shui Binger. Her whole body is shrouded in a layer of hazy blue light, and a circle of dazzling blue light floats behind her with a bit of dazzling blur. Even Juzukin can't see what her martial spirit is. She can only feel that it is a very powerful aura. There is no doubt that this is top-level martial spirit. The martial spirits of the 3 strong attacking soul masters in the front are also very strange. They all have some fine scales on certain parts of their bodies. They are not dragon scales, but more like fish scales. And the 2 sensitive attacking soul masters, Shui Douluo's martial spirit gave her skin a layer of bright enamel, while the skins of another agile attack type soul master turned completely blue. Dao Wu and the others continued with their previous tactics. Tang San controlled the field. Juzukin assassinated. Dao Wu held the opponent head-on, and Huang Yuan and Jingling also found their opponents. Ning Rong and Zhang Zhu hid behind and occasionally gave a buff. This allowed Huang Yuan and Jingling, who were little Kurami, to fight the opponent. It can be seen how powerful the evolved 9-colored glazed tower is. Juzukin wanted to break the stalemate and wanted to start with Shui Douluo, but before she could rush over, she was directly frozen by the ice. Not only Juzukin, but also Zhao Wu, Ning Rong, and Tang San, that is, the 4 strongest people here. Shui Binger took action. Only the first soul skill bloomed on her body, but 4 shots in an instant were enough to prove Shui Binger's strength in controlling her own soul skills. But Shui Binger didn't rush to launch an attack. Instead, the second soul ring on her body lit up immediately after the first one. A total of 5 ice rings were released, covering the 3 strong attack-type soul masters and 2 agile attack-type soul masters of Dan Shui College. A magical scene appeared. The 5 soul masters covered by the ice rings suddenly had a layer of crystal blue armor on their bodies, and their strength was increased to a certain extent. Boom! However, after Shui Binger blessed the armor, the 4 ices also exploded and turned into ice powder all over the sky. After Tang San came out, he didn't dare to be arrogant. The soul skill was activated directly, but because Dan Shui College had studied Tang San's soul skills long ago, so the moment he came out, the scene was already covered with frost and water. The lurking of the blue-silver grass failed, but Tang San didn't care. Instead, he moved his mind and the blue-silver grass rushed directly to the opponent's camp, and then the soul power exploded. The body was blown open, and the purple poisonous mist came out of the body. This is the latest move Tang San thought of. And it doesn't need to spread slowly, it can be controlled in a very short time. Everyone in Dan Shui College was stunned. For a while, the lineup of Dan Shui College was in chaos. Everyone's face showed a trace of fear. If they could, they all wanted to surrender. Too shameless. As the captain of the Dan Shui team, Shui Binger was a little flustered, but she quickly stabilized her mind. Calm down. Think about our previous strategy. Shui Binger's words seemed to have some magic. The originally chaotic Dan Shui College also quieted down at this moment. The black-haired girl standing at the end of the team also suppressed her inner panic and began to dance. Her black hair fluttered and danced gracefully. The 4 soul rings on her body shone alternately, and circles of blue halos spread out with her dance. As she danced, a dark cloud appeared right above the central main stage, just covering the range of the stage. Then, bin-sized raindrops began to fall from the sky. It turned into a large curtain of water pouring down. These water drops will not fall on the girls of Dan Shui College. When they approach their bodies, they will slide down quietly. Because of the rain, the purple mist was also washed away. The Blue Tyrant College was soaked by the water. Shui Binger used her first soul skill again. This time not 4, but 6. In addition to Ning Rong, Dao Wu and others were frozen again, because of the rain. This time the freezing was also stronger than before. Although Shui Binger's first soul skill has no lethality, it is too disgusting. Not only can it be used instantly, but it can also select multiple targets. The raindrops falling from the dark clouds have become colder and colder. The environment is very unfavorable to Blue Tyrant College. After receiving Shui Binger's instructions, the girl of the strong attack department did not hesitate and began to run towards the ice. Moreover, she waved her fists, and soul rings shone on her body. Boom! The ice broke. Huang Yuan was the first to be eliminated, followed by Jingling and Zhangzhu. The situation was clear in an instant, and there were only 4 people left on the Blue Tyrant College field. The ice exploded. After Zhao Wu and the others looked at each other, they launched a general attack. We can't drag it on. The rain is too cold. My body is almost frozen. Zhu Zuqing stepped on the ghost shadow and opened the nether shadow clone towards the black-haired girl who was still dancing, and rushed directly to her, and her figure disappeared on the competition field. Shui Binger naturally couldn't sit idly by, so she activated her third soul skill and instantly came to the side of the black-haired girl. A circle of ice blue light burst out from her body, and the effect was actually similar to Huo Wu's resistance to firing. Zhu Zuqing only felt a chill attack on her body, and her stealth body was instantly forced back and revealed. But Zhu Zuqing was not annoyed, but a smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. Dao Wu, okay. I saw that the place where Dao Wu was before disappeared in front of me in an instant, and it appeared again, right next to the dancing black-haired girl. Shui Binger looked at Dao Wu's close teammates, and because the third soul skill had just been released, it could not be used for the time being. But at this moment, another red-haired girl suddenly pushed Xu away. Xu lost her target and could only choose this red-haired girl. The waist bow was activated. The girl took off on the spot. Shui Binger could only watch her teammate being thrown out of the fighting arena by Zhou's waist bow. Seeing that Zhou still wanted to get closer to her, Shui Binger's scalp tingled. She often watched the games of Lanba Academy. She didn't want to experience Zhou's violent hate section throw. Shui Binger moved, not forward, but backward. She turned around and ran towards Xu behind her and the ice rain. The other 3 quickly gathered together and blocked the 2. Ning Rong saw this scene and hurriedly shouted, "Be careful, it's a martial soul fusion skill." But when Zhu Zuqing and Zhou heard this, it was too late. Chapter 319. Disperse. The blue hair and the black hair merge into one instantly, turning into a dazzling blue-white beam of light that rushed into the dark clouds in the sky. Shui Binger and Zhu Wu's bodies disappeared at the same time. Their martial soul fusion skills finally erupted. Zhu Zuqing looked at the 2 who disappeared and realized that something was wrong. She quickly said to Ning Rong, Tang San and Zhao Wu, "Let's gather together quickly." The rain in the sky changed. The ice rain turned into snowflakes dancing in the air, but each piece of snow was as sharp as a blade, floating down in the rotation, turning into a vortex of ice and snow, sweeping towards everyone in Lanba Academy. Shui Binger's words also came slowly from the air, slightly ethereal and silent. "If you can't hold on, remember to." She hadn't finished her words yet, and the women present began to play hide-and-seek under the leadership of Zhu Zuqing. And if they couldn't avoid it, Zhu Zuqing and others used their soul skills to forcibly deflect these snow blades. Shui Binger was stunned. What kind of operation is this? Just now, I persuaded the opponent to give up if he couldn't hold on. Now, it seems that I can't hold on any longer. The soul power consumed by the martial soul fusion technique is undoubtedly huge. Ice and snow drifting, a very beautiful name, but in this beauty, it contains endless murderous intent. How powerful is the martial soul fusion technique performed by 2 soul masters above level 40? Dao Wu and others don't know, because none of them can hit them. This martial soul fusion technique composed of Shui Binger and Zhu Wu is also the first time to be used since the start of the game, and this is also the skill they hide. But the first time it was used, it was a Waterloo. Even the audience laughed. What the hell is this? Such a big battle, but no one can be hit. Shui Binger didn't dare to continue to consume it. When they lose all their soul power, they can only admit defeat. The loud sound of the phoenix sounded from the blue light column that soared into the sky. Douluo and others felt that the pressure was relieved, and the snowflakes that were originally in the form of a tornado in the air flew up. Listening to the bright phoenix cry, feeling the stronger mental pressure after reducing the attack pressure, Zhuzuking knew it immediately. Ice Phoenix. Shui Binger's martial soul turned out to be the Ice Phoenix among the top martial souls. Shui Binger had not shown her martial soul before, but she was waiting here. But it can also explain why Shui Binger's control ability is so strong, and she has such an outrageous martial soul fusion skill. If it weren't for Zhuzuking, it would be really difficult to deal with the woman in front of her. But Ma Hongjun, who is also a phoenix, is much worse. Even now that he has lost the evil fire, he can't be compared. Without the suppression and absorption of the fairy grass, it is cut off from the root. So Ma Hongjun's chicken martial soul is destined not to become a phoenix. In the air, snowflakes condensed and gradually took shape. A huge blue phoenix with a body length of 7 meters appeared out of thin air. This ice phoenix looks extremely clear, like a real entity. Bright eyes, slender tail feathers, looks so moving. The dazzling blue phoenix descended from the sky, without a trace of fireworks, turning into an ice blue glare and floating down. Although the movement was not fast, it would become more solid with every passing second, and the falling snowflakes and cold rain in the sky would become her helpers. No one dared to believe that this was the power that the soul sect could bring. The momentum was too amazing. Douluo and others also flashed an unprecedented solemnity in their eyes. This time the enemy is different from the past. They are very strong. They are the strongest group of peers they have encountered so far. Watching the ice phoenix fall, Shui Binger in the sky also hurriedly said, "You guys surrender quickly. I can't control the ice phoenix anymore." Ning Rong didn't speak. They have developed a good tacit understanding. After trying their best to bless all the buffs of the 3 soul rings, they decisively jumped off the fighting soul stage. Auxiliary soul masters have the ability not to put themselves in a dangerous situation, and if she continues to stay there, she will only become an obstacle and burden to her teammates. Ning Rong is not stupid. Hearing Shui Binger's words, Zhuzuking's eyes also flashed a smile. But I also have reasons to win. After saying that, Zhuzuking and Douluo looked at each other, and their soul power exploded. Everyone tried their best to bombard the ice phoenix in the sky. The ice phoenix could no longer be controlled, and fell from the sky, pouring down with huge energy. The cold current surged, and had already completely locked the bodies of several people. The martial soul fusion skill of Bing Supulin was extremely powerful. Once it was used, it would immediately lock the opponent. But at this time, a strange scene appeared. 4 kinds of energy confrontation. Netherworld / teleporting. Douluo took the lead. Although she dodged most of it, she was still hit by a small piece of ice. Douluo, who was hit by the reaction force, also fell down. Bang! Fortunately, she was not hurt. Tang San smiled and said to Douluo, "It's up to me next." With the blessing of Ning Rong, Tang San has now been greatly supplemented in both strength and soul power. The Snake Queen appeared directly and roared towards the sky. With the blessing of Tang San's full soul power, the blue-silver grass became more and more solid. A magical and spectacular scene was staged. The Ice Phoenix and the Snake Queen, 2 huge monsters, stared at each other in the void. The Ice Phoenix stood in the air, surrounded by cold air, shining with blue light, its wings made of pieces of ice, and with a light flap, it attacked the Snake Queen, who was provoking it on the ground with an extremely cold breath. Its roar was like thunder, and it used its huge body to emit an unparalleled pressure on this fighting spirit stage. The Snake Queen was extremely ferocious, and its green fangs were like strong air rolling up horizontally, sweeping the entire sky, and its cracking sound was like the wronged souls of the netherworld. The 2 huge monsters collided in midair, and poisonous gas and ice continued to spread. The Ice Phoenix tore the Snake Queen with its claws, and the Snake Queen also kept biting the Ice Phoenix with its fangs. The audience shouted that it was wonderful. It was too exciting. Whether it is the Snake Queen or the Ice Phoenix, these 2 soul beasts are not usually seen. One is the undisputed king in the poison field, and the other is the king of ice soul beasts. Although they are all transformed by soul skills, but the excitement of the fight is not low at all. And Tang San, with the blessing of Ning Rong Narong, is also very brave in controlling the blue-silver grass, but Shui Binger and Zhu Wu's martial soul fusion skills are better. Countless blue-silver grasses soared directly into the sky and blocked the fall of the ice phoenix, but it only blocked for a while. Tang San's soul power was also exhausted. Basically, he was running the Xuanchen Gong with all his strength, and his soul power was not recovering fast. The ice phoenix lost its target and was still falling. Once it fell, the current three people could not resist it at all. At this time, Zhu Zuqing finally stood up. She didn't have Zhao Wu's teleportation, and she didn't have Tang San's blue-silver grass. Naturally, she couldn't stop the ice phoenix, but the teammates in front had paved the way for her. The self-created soul skills were activated. The soul power began to condense, and Zhu Zuqing's eyes were full of determination. Looking at the phoenix that was no longer a bird, Zhu Zuqing smiled. Disperse! With a delicate shout from Zhu Zuqing, a dark purple slash instantly pierced through the phoenix's body covered with ice crystals, splitting it in two. Chapter 320. Look, Zhu King has learned how to show off. The 7-meter-long giant fell straight down, splashing a lot of ice flowers. The entire ring was frozen and instantly covered with a layer of blue brilliance. The next moment, accompanied by a loud bang, the entire ring had completely collapsed. Even the few remaining members of Tanshui College on the ring who had water attributes jumped down first when it fell into the ring. This can be said to be the most destructive scene since the start of the preliminaries, and also the most dazzling scene. Unfortunately, it did not successfully hit its target. It can only be said that the group of teammates from Tanshui College jumped too early, because Zhu Zuqing and the others no longer have much soul power. The huge area of the entire Tandu Great Soul Fighting Arena has been covered with a thin layer of frost. The waves of coldness made the expressions of the audience stiff. The last time I felt so cold was when Yun Feng released his ultimate move, and the power of Yayin broke out, sweeping the entire Tandu city. In the ruins of the ring, Shui Binger, supported by Zhu Wu, barely stood there, looking at Zhu Zuqing and Zhao Wu, her ice-blue eyes lost in thought. She didn't understand why such a scene happened. Why couldn't the martial soul fusion skills of herself and Zhu Wu, plus the power of her martial soul origin, defeat the Blue Tyrant Academy without Yun Feng? The chill of the falling ice and snow was enough to slow down anyone's actions. In the previous moment, the temperature on the ring had dropped to an extremely terrifying level, and coupled with the control of the cold current, she would never believe that a soul master below level 60 could break through the lock and escape the attack range. But such a big move was directly cracked by the four people on the opposite side in a positive way. She opened her cherry-like mouth, but couldn't say a word several times. Instead, Zhu Zuqing looked at Shui Binger with a fighting spirit. You are very strong. I hope you can bring a better performance in the finals. Yun Feng heard Zhu Zuqing's words on the stage and said to Biji, look, Zuqing has learned the skill of pretending. The girls looked at Yun Feng helplessly. Zhu Zuqing was not pretending at all. It was clearly an expression of recognition of the opponent, but the words changed their taste when they came out of Yun Feng's mouth. Zhao Wu and Zhuge Yan were not so cool. Instead, they smiled at Shui Binger and Zhu Wu. Shui Binger also tried to squeeze out a smile from her pale face. You are very strong. We lost. The faces of the two girls were pale at this time. The overdrawn soul power made it difficult for them to stand firmly. Seeing this, the other girls from Tanshui College hurried forward and supported the two after simply asking the referee, lose with dignity. In fact, it was fortunate that Yun Feng did not play. Otherwise, the two immortal herbs he absorbed, the 8 tangled black ice grass and the effect of the fiery apricot, would make him immune to all cold and fire attributes. If Shui Binger used a martial soul fusion skill of other attributes, not to mention that Yun Feng also absorbed the soul bone of the Ice and Fire Dragon King, the 2 attribute attacks below the god level are useless to Yun Feng. Maybe Yun Feng couldn't break his defense even if he stood there and let them hit him. However, This battle also opened Yun Feng's eyes. The 4 soul masters on his side almost didn't beat the opponent. This was because the other players of the Tenshui Academy on the opposite side made a mistake in judgment and hurriedly stepped down before the Ice Phoenix fell. If they stayed on the stage, Juzukin and the others would not have the soul power to continue fighting. Of course, there was also the arrogance brought by the continuous victories of the Blue Tyrant Academy. If they didn't underestimate the enemy from the beginning, and didn't let the opponent change the environment on the fighting soul stage to one that suited them, the chances of winning would be greater, instead of relying on the opponent's mistakes to win. At this time, the referee had already walked over carefully. Even though he had a soul power of over 50, he was still a little nervous. The young people nowadays were really amazing. If they had any tricks they hadn't used yet, he would probably be implicated. Is it over? Dao Wu was the first to recover, because she was the first to go up. Naturally, she was the one to answer. Well, it can be announced. The referee was also relieved. The fight was so intense that even he ran away. In this battle, Blue Tyrant Academy won. Let's congratulate them for making it to the finals with a perfect record. For a while, the applause was thunderous, and the cheers around continued for a long time. The fighting sounds on other fighting arenas were drowned out. After returning to the rest area, Juzukin also took the initiative to apologize to Dao Wu and others. It's okay, Shui Binger on the opposite side restricted us too much. Besides, didn't we win? Dao Wu and Zhuge Yan comforted Juzukin together. Juzukin shook her head. I'm sorry, it's my fault. I didn't pay enough attention to the opponent at the beginning of the game, and failed to make targeted tactical arrangements in time, which led to the passiveness later. Yun Feng also came over at this time. What's wrong, my little cat? It's not your character to complain about yourself. I don't know why I felt relieved when I saw Yun Feng's unserious look. I didn't, but I was indeed careless just now. If I had dealt with Zhu Wu on the opposite side directly at the beginning, maybe there wouldn't be so many things. Yun Feng smiled. Don't worry, I'm here in the finals. I guarantee that I can knock down the opponent with one move. As soon as Yun Feng said this, they remembered the way Yun Feng used his ultimate move when he played against Blazing Academy 1. It was too scary. Don't play like that. The finals are in the Spirit Hall. The girls laughed out loud. If Yun Feng were to use that kind of move again, who knows what would happen? Seeing that the girls were all laughing, Yun Feng's expression became a little more formal. Although there were many unexpected events in today's competition, didn't you also gain a lot? Actual combat is the best way to test yourself. Only by constantly going through actual combat and facing different opponents can you make faster progress. The profession of Soul Master is ever-changing. No one knows what kind of opponent you will encounter in the next battle. The only way is to fight with different Soul Masters as much as possible to increase your experience. A temporary failure can help you recognize the future path. I think this is a good thing, isn't it? The preliminaries in Tandu City have all ended. According to the process, the award ceremony will be held soon. The top 5 teams in the preliminaries will be awarded with qualification certificates for the promotion competition. However, since the main arena in the center was destroyed in the previous competition, this process has been simplified. Other colleges that have not advanced will no longer participate in the final ceremony. Only the top 5 teams will go to the VIP podium to receive the qualification certificates. The process of the ceremony is not complicated. Under the announcement of the host, the captains and vice-captains of the top 5 teams walked onto the podium. Yun Feng and Juzukin walked to the podium together. Seeing that there were the same 8 people, they also smiled and greeted them. The most enthusiastic one was Huo Wu. The others looked at Yun Feng with a little fear, especially Feng Zioxian and Huo Shuang. One was warned by Yun Feng, and the other had faced Yun Feng head-on. Without waiting for them to reminisce and chat, the host's words rang out again. Chapter 321. Interests are what move people. Next, His Majesty Zhu Yi, Sect Master Ning of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile Sect, and Bishop Sares Platinum will personally present the qualification certificates and prizes to the 5 teams that have entered the promotion match. The qualification certificate is actually a handwritten note. There is no need to worry about forgery. After all, The Spirit Hall and the Heavened Empire know which academy has advanced. This thing is just a certificate that symbolizes honor. The top 5 academies received the same prize money. After all, this is just a preliminaries. Each team received a reward of 10,000 gold soul coins issued by the Heavened Empire. In the finals, the top 3 prizes will be provided by the Spirit Hall. Yun Feng took the gold soul coins, looked at Zhu Zuqing and Huo Wu and said, "It's an unexpected fortune. When you go back, take them out for a walk." Zhu Zuqing nodded. Huo Wu was the more excited one. A date. Just from what Yun Feng said, it seems that there are a lot of people on the date. After the awards were presented, the host handed the right to speak to the most honorable Emperor Zhu Yi. Emperor Zhu Yi's eyes swept over the student representatives of the 5 colleges in front of him, and stayed on Yun Feng for a few seconds, and then said meaningfully, "As the Emperor of the Tandu Empire, I am very proud of the emergence of so many geniuses in the Tandu Empire, so congratulations to you for qualifying for the promotion match." Emperor Zhu Yi subconsciously hinted at something as soon as he opened his mouth. Yun Feng understood. Sure enough, after just finishing his words, Emperor Zhu Yi paused, and continued to speak enthusiastically and high. "You are all the hope of the future of the empire, and as the captain and vice-captain of each team, your strength has also played the most important role in the competition. So, I decided to confer the title of Viscount on the 10 of you, and the title of Baron on the other participating students of your 5 colleges. After you graduate, the door of the imperial family will be open to you at any time. Your fiefdoms will be uniformly distributed after you graduate." Sure enough, when these words came out, everyone present was excited. Of course, this does not include the 10 people who played. Only the audience was excited. Everyone was sighing that His Majesty Zhu Yi was so generous and wise. However, what Emperor Zhu Yi said also caused dissatisfaction in Ceres. How could he not know what Emperor Zhu Yi meant? Just recruit them in advance. He would not do it anyway. The finals reward given by Wuhan Hall is not ordinary. What if, just what if the Tandu Empire picks the peach? So he also refuted on the spot. "Your Majesty, this is not good." Emperor Zhu Yi glanced at Ceres indifferently. "What's wrong, Bishop Ceres?" Ceres thought for a while and said, "These children all have their own belonging, and their future cannot be restricted by your little Viscount and Baron. So, I suggest that it is better to exchange these illusory titles for the cultivation resources they need." As soon as these words came out, Emperor Zhu Yi's face turned green. "This is almost a clear card to confront you. Whether it is the Tandu Empire or the Xingyuo Empire, the titles are ranked according to high and low levels: Duke, Marquis, Earl, Viscount, and Baron. 10 Viscount noble titles were given out just for the qualification to advance to the preliminary round. Everyone also realized what the Emperor Zhu Yi was thinking. "Your Excellency Bishop Platinum, the awarding of titles is an internal matter of the Empire and has nothing to do with the Spirit Hall. It has nothing to do with this competition either. I just appreciate the rewards given by these children. They represent my Tandu Empire to participate in this Advanced Spirit Master Academy competition. Here I also want to make you a promise. If any of your teams can win the final game, the titles of the entire team will be promoted by 1 level, and the word royal will be added to the prefix of the academy, and it will be supported by the empire's finances." Ceres was dumbfounded. "You know, the titles here are hereditary. Isn't Emperor Zhu Yi afraid that the nobles below will have opinions by giving out so many at once? And this is too much of a loss." But now that it has come to this, Ceres can't continue to speak. If he speaks again, he will offend these geniuses. After all, this is a huge benefit. Even if the captains and vice-captains of these academies don't want it, what about the team members? You know, the life of nobles is rich and colorful. Although these young people can be regarded as having seen the world, the long list of rewards from Emperor Zhu Yi still made them a little confused. What does the title represent? A Viscount can already have his own territory and attendance, and will also receive a certain amount of subsidies from the state. This money alone is enough for future life. Although many soul masters have titles, it is easy to obtain the title of a kingdom or a duchy, but it is not so simple to obtain the title of an empire, especially the directly granted title of Viscount. The territory owned by a viscount can already be a small city. What is more valuable is that Emperor Zuyi has promised the 10 people in front of him that after this competition, they will be granted fiefs. This shows that they are not just nominally holding a title, but nobles who truly own territories. Benefits are moving. Sarah's face looked ugly, but he didn't say anything more. But there was a little more gloom in his eyes. Inwardly, he secretly complained, "Just give it to us. By then, your empire will be filled with people from our spirit hall." However, the reason why geniuses are called geniuses is not only because they have super strength, but also because they have high vision. From the atmosphere of the conversation between Bishop Sarah's Platinum and Emperor Zuyi, they also sensed a hint of gunpowder. The team that naturally dared not to fight easily was silent. Ning Fengzi seemed to have nothing to do with all this. He just stood there smiling and didn't speak. Emperor Zuyi didn't care about Sarah's expression at all, and continued to talk to himself. Although the preliminaries are over, the promotion matches are about to begin. The location is the royal enclosure in our Tandu Empire. However, at that time, 10 teams from the 5 principalities and kingdoms will compete with you. I also hope that you can get a better title, so that it will be much easier to play in the finals. The promotion match is the best stage to show your personal strength. At that time, the top 3 students who win the most promotion matches will be provided with the soul beasts you need for the next title upgrade by the Empire. You can choose the type of soul beast by yourself. The Empire can guarantee all soul beasts with a cultivation level of less than 30,000 years. Yun Feng lost interest when he heard this reward. Who is he? Does he need a soul beast? As long as the age is suitable, any soul beast is fine. After all, you can modify the effect of the soul skills yourself. Chapter 322. This is a letter from His Holiness the Pope to you. But Yun Feng didn't need it, but the others were very excited. After all, hunting soul beasts is a dangerous thing, especially soul beasts over 10,000 years old. Now the Tandu Empire has provided funding to help, and except for Yun Feng, everyone here is at the soul sect level. They are naturally eager for the 5th soul ring. Level 50 is the first level to obtain a 10,000-year soul ring. The strength of the first 10,000-year soul ring has a great impact on the future of each of them. If you can choose a soul beast according to your needs, it will undoubtedly be a great benefit. Not only do you not need to take risks and waste time, but you can also maximize your martial spirit. You must know that after the soul power reaches level 50, the soul master's cultivation speed will drop significantly. This is why those soul masters will desperately look for soul beasts that are more suitable for themselves and a little higher, because the soul power brought by the soul ring can make a transition between 50 and 60. It is of great benefit for future development. Looking at the 10 people in front of him, more than half of them have begun to be excited. Emperor Zuyi also smiled and glanced at Sarah's. This is Yang Mai. What are you playing with me? The promotion match will be held in a month. I hope you will continue to work hard this month. I am looking forward to your performance. I won't say anything else. You are all smart kids. I believe you will make smart choices. After saying that, he smiled and turned around and left accompanied by a group of imperial guards. He didn't take Sarah seriously at all. Sarah's eyes moved slightly, but he didn't say anything. But what Emperor Zuyi said was indeed reasonable. Everyone present was smart, and it was difficult for them to refuse the conditions offered by the Tandu Empire. Yun Feng had a different opinion. What happened to Emperor Zuyi? He dared to challenge the Spirit Hall, but Yun Feng didn't understand these political things yet. After leaving, Yun Feng passed by the Spirit Hall and saw the red flag outside. His eyes moved slightly and he smiled. It was midnight. Yun Feng didn't start a battle for a long time, but went out under the moonlight. He met Sarah's in the grove. Your Excellency the Bishop, what do you want to talk to me about? Sarah's hurriedly shook his hand and said, No, just call me Little Sarah. Yun Feng was stunned and said with a smile, Then I'll call you Sarah's. What do you want to talk to me about this time? Sarah's looked around cautiously. Yun Feng waved his hand and said, It's okay. I checked before I came here. No one is following me. Sarah's took out a letter from his arms and handed it to him with both hands. This is a letter from His Holiness the Pope. Yun Feng took it and opened the envelope without thinking much. He frowned when he saw the contents on it. It's okay, you can go back. After Sears took a few steps, Yun Feng stopped him again. "By the way, did you deliver the last letter to the Pope?" Sears nodded respectfully. "I did." "Okay, you can go." After Sears disappeared, Yun Feng destroyed the letter in his hand. A trace of anger flashed across his face. Bibi Dong was worried that he would get out of control, so she wrote a lot of things in the letter, such as returning to the Spirit Hall, deliberately losing to the Spirit Team in the final of the Spirit Master competition, etc. Now Yun Feng is asked to go to the Spirit Hall, which makes things difficult for him. In the last letter, Yun Feng mentioned that he wanted to seize the Heaven Empire, but this time he refused directly. It is obvious that Bibi Dong still has some feelings for Qian Renxu, but she didn't say it. Yun Feng would naturally be angry when he saw the letter. "It just so happens that I haven't seen Bibi Dong this time, so let me go and see what she looks like." After a few flashes, Yun Feng disappeared into the woods. When he returned to the room again, he was ambushed. Yun Feng looked up and saw that it was Zhao Wu. Zhao Wu kicked Yun Feng in the face. Yun Feng dodged the attack with a wave of his hand. Zhao Wu wanted to continue attacking. Yun Feng smiled, raised his right hand, pushed Zhao Wu's long legs, took a step forward, and naturally stepped his right foot behind Zhao Wu's supporting legs. At the same time, he leaned forward and directly hit Zhao Wu's thighs that were pushed up. This posture looked ambiguous. "My Zhao Wu, what's wrong with you?" Zhao Wu felt the gazes of many sisters, and her face suddenly turned red. She said angrily, "You go to those dangerous places alone again, without us." Yun Feng also explained, "I'm afraid you will get hurt." Ning Rong also stood up at this time and said slowly, "You know, if something happens to you, we can't survive alone." Yun Feng was silent for a while, and smiled and said, "Don't worry, I'm lucky." Maybe this topic is too heavy. Yun Feng also wants to break the atmosphere, so he directly opened the battlefield with one hand each. The battle started. It was not until noon. Yun Feng survived. At the same time, Tang San also felt deeply frustrated in his heart. Although Lanba Academy was promoted, but he felt that his blue-silver grass was becoming increasingly useless. In terms of spirit fighting, he couldn't beat Blazing Fire Academy. They were the natural enemy. In terms of control and field, he couldn't beat Danshui Academy. They were completely defeated. In terms of strength, he couldn't match the Elephant Armor Sect. In terms of mobility, he couldn't match the Divine Wind Academy. And in terms of physical fitness, he couldn't match the Thunder Academy. In addition, Tang San didn't have the blessing of the two immortal herbs, the 8 Anise Mysterious Ice Grass and the Fiery Apricot. The blue-silver grass was already very powerless against the enemy. No, it couldn't be like this. Blue-silver grass was not a good spirit at all. While he was still young, it wasn't too late to give it up. Tang San couldn't help but think of his other spirit, Clear Sky Hammer. That was the inherited spirit of Clear Sky Sect, which ranked first among the 7 major sects in the mainland spirit world. If he had chosen to practice Clear Sky Hammer, then his current strength would definitely not be just like this. It would only become stronger. The more he thought about it, the less confidence Tang San had in blue-silver grass, and his heart was like a raging sea. All kinds of chaotic thoughts made him feel a little crazy. Tang San has been locked up in the house these days and is very troubled. Yu Gang has gone to the spirit hall now. He doesn't even have anyone to consult. As for asking Flanders doesn't understand these things either. And it's not like he hasn't asked them these days. He hasn't practiced for 2 days, which was unimaginable for Tang San in the past, as he was so diligent. But now he doesn't feel like practicing at all. After a while, Tang San suddenly remembered Zhang Hao's words. Use the hammer in your left hand to protect the grass in your right hand. Tang San suddenly felt that his thoughts were clear. Yes, it has always been the blue-silver grass that has been protecting the hammer. Now it should be his turn to protect the grass with his hammer. Tang San thought and did it, and while there was still time, after taking all his hidden weapons, he rushed to the starred Great Forest without stopping. He was going to hunt soul beasts, improve himself. Yun Feng is already a soul king. After absorbing the soul ring, he can at least reach level 50, or even level 60. After absorbing the 4 soul rings of the Clear Sky Hammer, he pushed his soul power to level 50. and then absorbed a level 50 soul ring of the blue-silver grass. Tang San thought he was a genius. Little did he know that he had missed a letter, and that letter was from Yao Gang. Chapter 323, Isn't he the talented Soul King? Actually, there was nothing wrong with what Tang San thought, but he got a wrong point of view. The conflict between his twin martial spirits was not resolved, and if he cultivated the blue-silver grass to level 91st, and then cultivated the clear sky hammer, what quality would the 9 spirit rings be? It can only be said that Tang San was mentally hurt by this series of blows. On the other side, a person who had not been seen for a long time visited the Blue Tyrant Academy. Jugubo stood outside Yun Feng's yard in the scorching afternoon sun. His original good mood was gone now, because Yun Feng and his friends had just finished the war. He led a large number of beautiful girlfriends to the yard to take a breath, and his granddaughter was one of them. How could he not be angry? This kid is too fickle. Yun Feng naturally sensed it. After going out, he saw Jugubo with a black face and smiled and said, "Isn't this Grandpa Jugu? I haven't seen you for so long. Are you okay? Where have you been during this time?" "I went to spar with an old rival." Yun Feng could also guess who the opponent Jugubo was talking about was, but out of curiosity, Yun Feng still wanted to know whether Jugubo won or lost after taking the magic grass. "Oh, won or lost?" The green light in Jugubo's eyes became obviously excited. "I didn't win either, but he lost, so I won. Haha." The faces of the girls and Yun Feng all showed surprise. Yun Feng also asked curiously, "What do you mean you didn't win, but he lost?" Jugubo curled his lips and said, "You know shit. I used to fight with this guy. Every time I was beaten to a mess. If it wasn't for the poison, I would have been killed by him long ago. But this time it was him who was beaten to a mess. If I hadn't been a little more lenient, I might have killed him." Then the style of the painting changed, and Jugubo said again, "Thanks to the magic grass you gave me last time, my strength has improved." Yun Feng was still puzzled. "Then why didn't you win, and he lost?" Jugubo pulled the corner of his mouth, and after a while, he said helplessly under the gaze of the two, "The other side came to help, and beat me so hard that I had to rest for a long time before I recovered. If my poison skills hadn't improved further and I hadn't used their men as threats, I might not have been able to escape." Yun Feng finally understood what Jugubo meant. He almost laughed out loud. He had gained some strength, and went to pretend to fight, but who knew that the other side had no martial ethics? He just called for help. Yun Feng was worried at first, but seeing that Jugubo had no injuries on his body, he also laughed. Jugubo's face darkened when he heard the laughter. "You're still laughing? You almost lost me, your grandfather." "Old poisonous creature, you said you went to fight, and now you've lost. Why are you still angry and embarrassed?" Jugubo was so angry that he couldn't speak for a long time, and finally all his indignation turned into a sigh. "Forget it. Tell me about your story." Yun Feng nodded and invited Jugubo into the yard. Looking at the beautiful girls in the yard, he was extremely shocked. But he could understand. He became famous at a young age, and it was sincere to have a confidant. Then they started chatting. When Yun Feng mentioned that Lanba Academy entered the promotion match with the first place, Douluo even said excitedly that they would definitely win the championship in the finals. "Oh, that's a bit difficult for you." Obviously, Jugubo came directly to Lanba Academy just after returning to Tandu City. Naturally, he didn't know what happened, but after hearing what Jugubo said, even Wu and others became interested. Curiously he asked, "Why do you think it's a bit difficult for us to win the championship? We now have 4 Soul Masters and 1 Soul King. There should be no team stronger than us." "Yes, yes. Why do you say that, Senior Jugu? Don't you have any confidence in us?" Jugubo shrugged and said, "This is not a question of confidence or not. What's the use of confidence in the face of absolute strength? The champion of this competition is no suspense at all." After hearing what Jugubo said, Juzukin couldn't help but feel moved. "Oh, so, Senior, do you know which team is particularly strong?" Jugubo sighed and said, "Why is the power of the spirit halls so huge on the mainland? It's because they have controlled a large number of top spirit masters. Except for the 7 major families, almost all powerful spirit masters belong to the spirit hall. No one has more information about spirit masters and conditions for spirit master cultivation than the Spirit Hall. Under the deliberate cultivation of the Spirit Hall, a group of elite spirit masters will emerge in every generation. This time is no exception. I heard that the Spirit Hall has produced several brilliant juniors. Even the Pope calls them the golden generation of the Spirit Hall and the masters of the future. And the people who are representing the Spirit Hall in the All-Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy Elite Competition this time are headed by these few people. They are all in their early 20s, and their strength is unquestionable. The training conditions and various equipment provided to them by the Spirit Hall are not comparable to those of ordinary advanced Spirit Master Academies. Jugubo is a titled Buo after all, so Juzukin and the others naturally believed her 80% and didn't think she would lie to them. There are so many geniuses in the world. With the ability of the Spirit Hall, it is not a simple matter to collect a few geniuses. After all, even a monster like Yun Feng has come out. Juzukin's eyes darkened a little. So, does that mean there is almost no suspense for the Spirit Hall to win this championship? Yun Feng laughed when he heard this, and stepped forward to touch Juzukin's head. Juking, have you been confused in your cultivation during this period? Don't you still have me? Juzuking thought carefully. That's right, why should I worry? Jugubo also smiled when he saw Yun Feng was so confident. Seeing that their grandfather still didn't believe it, the girls immediately told him about Yun Feng's achievements during this period. Jugubo was startled in an instant. His eyes widened. What did you say? Yun Feng can fight with that old guy Gurong. He is not the talented Soul King. It is obvious that Yun Feng gave Jugubo a huge shock. Yun Feng, as the person involved, just smiled. The main reason is that the girls didn't tell their plans to others. After all, Jugubo is still in favor of Prince Zhu crossing. If he knew, it would affect the plan to some extent. But after a while, Jugubo also figured it out. You know, in the cave of the Sunset Forest, Yun Feng's combat power at that time should not be underestimated. Thinking of this, Jugubo suddenly laughed. Then the Spirit Hall seems to have gone too far this time. Daowu looked at her grandfather laughing, and also said in confusion, Senior Jugu, why do you say that? Jugubo retracted his smile and said seriously, do you know what the final champion reward of this time's All-Continent Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition is? Yun Feng naturally knew, but it didn't affect Jugubo to say it. He smiled without saying anything, his face full of expectation. Jugubo obviously still had hatred in his heart. This time he went to find face, but lost it again. He said coldly, originally, the Spirit Hall was going to give those things directly to the top talents of the Golden Generation, but was opposed by the elders of the Elder Hall. Therefore, the Pope made a compromise and decided to give them a training session, which was this competition, and those things originally given to them were also taken out by the Spirit Hall as the champion rewards. Tell me, how can they not be determined to win? Chapter 324 Three Filial Sons. The girls, who were completely aroused by curiosity, hurriedly asked, what exactly is it? Jugubo also kept the secret for a while and said with a smile, what do you think is the most precious thing for a soul master? After thinking for a while, the girls looked at each other and slowly said, soul bones? Jugubo nodded. This time, the Spirit Hall took out 3 soul bones. You can tell me whether they are precious or not. 3 soul bones? What is the concept? Soul bones are like artifacts for soul masters. Any soul bone can bring a huge improvement to the soul master. 3 soul bones are simply not worth money. Jugubo said seriously, these 3 soul bones were accumulated by the Spirit Hall and were left by the deceased elders. Since the Pope dared to take them out as the final championship reward, his confidence in the contestants can be imagined. But he laughed when he finished saying this. Isn't this just throwing meat buns at dogs? There is no return? Yun Feng pulled the corner of his mouth when he heard this, and ignored Jugubo, the old bastard. Daowu and others turned around and prepared to leave. Jugubo also realized that something was wrong at this time. I made a mistake. I made a mistake. Don't mind it. Seeing that the others hadn't turned back, Jugubo also said from behind, don't you want to know what the soul power level of the golden generation of the Spirit Hall is? As soon as these words came out, Juzukin also stopped unconsciously. turning to look at Jugubo and said, "What level?" Jugubo looked at her deeply. "There are 3 people in the spirit hall who are called the Golden Generation. I don't know the specific situation, I don't know what their martial souls and soul skills are, but there is one thing I can tell you, among these 3 people, the one with the lowest soul power is level 51, and the other 2 are level 52. They are only 23 or 24 years old, and the other people who formed the team with them, none of them had a soul power lower than level 45. Although Juzukin had always known the power of the spirit hall, this was the first time she had seen it head-on. Even the other team members had higher soul power than her. What kind of geniuses were on the opposite side? Little did they know that in the eyes of Jugubo, Dawu, Juzukin and Ningrong were also monsters. The people on the opposite side were at least in their 20s. "You guys are only level 40. Juzukin and Dawu couldn't help but think at this time, if Yun Feng wasn't there, 50 levels, or 3 at level 50, and the rest were all above level 45, would they have the ability to resist, even if they all took the fairy grass? This is a huge gap. No wonder Jugubo didn't think highly of him and others at the beginning. If he hadn't known Yun Feng's strength, he might not have said so much to them. Anyway, come on, I'm going back to Sunset Forest. This place is not suitable for me." After saying goodbye to Yun Feng, Jugubo disappeared with a flash of green light. The magnificent platinum main classroom covers an area of more than 200 square meters. The spacious room is filled with various treasures. Sarah sat behind his exaggeratedly large and gorgeous desk. In front of him was a document transferred from Notting City. This was a random attachment when he checked Yun Feng's file, because he found that there was another person named Tang San who joined Notting College at the same time as Yun Feng and Zhao Wu. He was also at this Soul Master competition. Out of curiosity, he also took a copy. Sarah's had read this document for the 7th time, but he still couldn't believe that what he saw was real. The document in front of him was the information of a Soul Master. The name of this Soul Master was Tang San. The information was very detailed, from Tang San's first registration at the Spirit Hall to confirm his Soul Master identity, to every time he received a Soul Master subsidy and every time his title was upgraded after adding soul rings. Every detail was included. At this time, Sarah's already had many doubts in his heart. Standing up, Salaz walked to the bookcase behind the desk, raised his hand and pulled a thick book on the bookshelf. With a creaking sound of the mechanism, the bookcase slowly moved aside, revealing the wall. There was a square metal plate on the wall, emitting a faint fluctuation of soul power. It was obvious that this metal plate was a soul guide. He pressed his right palm, and suddenly, a layer of faint red light emanated from the metal plate, instantly covering Salah's palm. Another burst of mechanical sounds was heard, and the metal plate slowly sank inward, revealing a square space. The space was not large, only 1 square foot, and a stack of documents was placed inside. Salaz searched for a while and found a top-secret file from 14 years ago. What a coincidence. Blue silver grass, surname Tang. It's really interesting. However, due to the relationship between Yun Feng and Tang San, Sarah thought about it. He picked up the pen and began to write the letter. He left 5 words on the envelope. Top secret. From the Pope. He had to tell Bibi Dong about his discovery. It was Yun Feng who didn't know, otherwise he would have laughed out loud. He had told Bibi Dong about this matter a long time ago. The reason why he kept it was that he felt that he still had some bad taste in Tang San, otherwise, he would have killed him long ago. How good it is now. They are respectful when they meet, and even want to recognize him as their father. What a filial son. A month is not too long. Yun Feng also implemented a training method that combines work and rest. Have fun when playing, and take the girls to play in Tandu City. During this period, Zook and Qian Renxu both looked for Yun Feng many times. But Qian Renxu is still in the appearance of Zook King, so it is naturally not easy for her to play with Yun Feng and his family. Zook didn't have so many ideas. As a princess, she came when she wanted to play. Although the Blazing Academy where Huo Wu was also in a tense state of preparation for war, but no one in Blazing Academy could stop Huo Wu. After finishing her training every day, she would run to Yun Feng happily. As for the girls from Tenshui Academy, They were often brought to Lanba Academy by Shui Duoer's love affair. This almost made all the male students in Lanba Academy drop their eyes. However, as the captain, Shui Binger naturally couldn't let her sister mess around. But her sister's mind was not on training, so she had no choice but to come to Lanba Academy for help from Yun Feng, to see if Lanba Academy and Tanshui Academy could communicate more and play a one-on-one friendly match. For such a serious request, Yun Feng refused without thinking, but Liu Erlong glared at Yun Feng fiercely. Yun Feng realized that he had said the wrong thing, so with the gratitude of Shui Binger and others, Dao Wu and others had a very tight schedule this month. There was only one day left before the promotion match, and Tang San also returned to Tandu Royal Academy. At this moment, he exuded a foul smell, but the confidence in his eyes was extremely dazzling. Chapter 325. That's good enough. No, his clear sky hammer spirit has 5 rings, and they are all 10,000-year spirit rings, although they are all 10,000 to 20,000-year spirit beasts. But he absorbs spirit rings that are at the limit of his body. A person used his hidden weapon advantage in the starred Great Forest to hunt crazily. He returned just one day before the promotion match, but his strength has become stronger. His inner awe of Yun Feng has also become stronger, because his clear sky hammer spirit is the top spirit on this continent. With the help of 5 10,000-year spirit rings, he compared the scene when Yun Feng fought against Bone Dragon Luo. Tang San couldn't help swallowing his saliva, but now, he can finally see Yun Feng's figure. Tang San, 56th level strong attack spirit king. The promotion match of the elite competition of the All-Continental Advanced Spirit Master Academy is not as lively as the preliminaries. In order to protect the privacy of the Spirit Masters and for safety considerations, no spectators are allowed to watch the promotion match. The promotion match is still divided into 2 empires. The 30 teams that pass the preliminaries will compete in their respective empires. The 3 teams that have already entered the finals will not participate in the promotion match. On the Tandu Empire side, including the 5 teams that qualified from the Tandu City preliminaries, a total of 15 teams have completed the registration process in the morning and gathered at the promotion match. There are fewer teams, but those who can pass the preliminaries are undoubtedly the elite among the elites. The 10 teams from the 5 kingdoms and principalities that passed the preliminaries came earlier, and they need to be familiar with the environment. At the same time, they also came with many promises from the kingdoms or principalities they represent. If they achieve good results, the rewards they can get will be even greater than the promises of Emperor Zhu Yi. After all, those kingdoms and principalities are more eager for talents. Who doesn't want to have more powerful soul masters in their hands? In the War of Buo continent, soul masters have long become the decisive factor on the battlefield, and the number of high-level soul masters is also the basis for measuring the power of one side. It is precisely because of this that the status of the Wuhan Hall is so transcendent that even the 2 empires dare not offend it easily. Even though they knew that those kingdoms and principalities were secretly supported by the Spirit Hall, they dared not speak out. The royal hunting ground is located 50 kilometers southwest of Tandu City. The hunting ground has a varied terrain and a vast area. It is a place for royal personnel to hunt and train. On weekdays, no civilians are allowed to approach. The 10,000 people of the Royal Knights are responsible for patrolling and guarding. They also train here. They rotate every 3 months and train alternately to maintain their combat effectiveness. The Royal Knights are also the strongest force in the hands of the Tandu Empire's royal family. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble and conflict, and to prevent the strength of each academy entering the promotion competition from being observed by other academies, all 15 teams of high-level spirit masters entering the promotion competition were arranged to rest in different places. When Yun Feng and others arrived, they saw the extremely large royal knights, all wearing bright silver light armor. This thick plate armor has extremely strong defense. Even their mounts are carefully selected, with a certain amount of magic beast bloodline. The Heavenly Soul Horse. This kind of horse itself has no attack ability, but the speed is extremely fast, and the load is extremely heavy, plus the extraordinary endurance. It has always been the best choice for cavalry. The horse is also covered with armor, and the weight of the knight and the light armor can't affect the speed of this horse at all. Once such a cavalry team launches a charge, the power must be extremely amazing. The Royal Knights have always been an elite team that the Tandu Empire royal family has been committed to building. There are a total of 50,000 people, and the captains of more than 100 people are all soul masters. This is also an extremely expensive army, but its deterrent power is also huge. At least the several kingdoms and principalities under the name of the Tandu Empire will never dare to act trashly under its threat. It's just that the development direction of the Tandu Empire is wrong. Most of the cavalry are still children of nobles, and the Tandu Empire does not pay attention to ordinary people. Talents are lost in vain. Among the 5 Elements Academy and the Tandu Royal Academy, only Tanshui Academy recruits civilian women. Most of the confrontations between soul masters still depend on the top combat power of titled Buo. It's a pity that Jugubo can clear the miscellaneous soldiers in a city alone. Yun Feng shook off these useless thoughts and sighs in his mind. The Tandu Empire is rotten. Even without the Spirit Hall, it cannot defeat the Xingyuo Empire with its bloody heritage. Sooner or later, it will be destroyed. A voice interrupted Yun Feng's thoughts. Please show your handbook. The people from Lonba Academy were stopped by the outer personnel of the Royal Knights. The so-called handbook is the qualification certificate for promotion. Yurlong handed the certificate to the other party, and the knight wearing silver armor and a red tassel on his head immediately saluted everyone. Welcome, all soul masters from Lonba Academy. I am Roxan, the captain of the 3rd Brigade of the Tandu Royal Knights. Please follow me. After saying that, he did not get on the horse. More than 10 people from Lonba Academy walked into the hunting ground under the escort of 50 fully armed Royal Knights. After crossing a small hill, everyone's eyes suddenly opened up. What appeared in front of them was a wide grassland. The vision was broadened, and people's mood was also relaxed, and they felt indescribably comfortable. On the grassland, a large area of military camps formed a circle. Roxan pointed to the camp. The promotion match of the All-Continental High-Level Soul Master Academy Elite Competition will be held right in the middle of the military camp. We can absolutely guarantee your safety and privacy. Yun Feng looked at the knight named Roxan in front of him, and then looked at the military camp not far away. He thought to himself, Emperor Zuyi may still be considered a serious emperor. It can be said that he has put a lot of effort into it. This promotion match is held in the military camp. The Royal Knights will undoubtedly become spectators. The duel between Soul Masters will definitely have a certain positive impact on the Royal Knights. It will further stimulate their determination and fighting spirit to practice hard. Everyone from Lanba Academy was taken to a large military camp, and a total of 5 barracks were allocated for them to rest. The military barracks are naturally not luxurious, but they are very clean. Yun Feng naturally did not ask for 5, he just asked for the largest barracks alone, and Huang Yuan and others also asked for 1. Yun Feng has been accustomed to sleeping with the beauties during this period. Not one less will do. How can they be separated? In fact, when Liu Erlong first learned about this operation, he was also full of shame and anger and cursed. You are still a tyrant even if you become an emperor like this. Yun Feng still remembered what Liu Erlong said at that time, but he didn't care. When it comes to tyrants, it's not about character, but performance. Yun Feng looked at the small bed in the tent and smiled. He took out the super large bed he customized from his ring and put it out. That's it. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.